So how many students have already logged in?
MS Teams only few.
No, on YouTube.
YouTube, we are putting live on now.
Okay.
Yes, good morning everyone. Welcome for the second day of 2 days international webinar on opportunities for higher education and research in mining engineering and interdisciplinary areas. Today also we have 6 speakers and at the end a valedictory function. Dr. Manoj, you can start today's session by introducing Dr. Simit Rawal.
Okay. Dr. Simit Rawal is from University of New South Wales, Australia. Having more than 24 years of combined experience in the mining industry and academia, he is specialized in the integration of sensing technologies to drive applied innovation in mining, environmental, and civil engineering sectors. He is leading a group of researchers focused on utilizing data from sensors mounted on various platforms from satellite through to UAVs, drones to visualize, identify, and monitor the environmental footprints of mining activities. Till now, he has received more than $1.4 million as competitive research grants, including 3 ACARPs grants as the project leader. Dr. Rawal has published widely in different journals and conferences besides delivering a number of invited presentations. In Australia and overseas. He is also recipient of 4 teaching awards and consistent top student satisfaction ratings. Dr. Rawal is designated for the program director undergraduate mining engineering studies role at the UNSW since January 2017. He was also undergraduate scholarship coordinator from 2014 to 2018. Dr. Rawal is an active member of the International Society of Mining Professors and the Australasian Institute of Mining and Metallurgy. He was a co-chair of the Geosciences and Remote Sensing Society, NSW and ACT chapter in Sydney from 2014. Now, I would like to invite
Is it possible to see my screen now or?
Not yet.
now.
Okay. University of New South Wales. In terms of global ranking, by QS ranking, we are 44th currently. And if you look at other rating systems, then we are among the top 100 in the world. We got 8 schools within the faculty, and Faculty of Engineering is, again, things like that. More specifically to our school, which is Minerals and Energy Resource Engineering, have 2 disciplines. One is the mining, and other one is petroleum. And current QS world ranking, we are standing at 4th position. Last year we were at 6th. This year we are at 4th position in the world. Within VR and other things. Just I thought, let me just start with your interest, and which is what are some of your options if you want to come down and at UNSW. And this is specific to UNSW, but I think it's more or less similar across Australia. What yesterday Professor Rajiv Ganguly said, it's a similar stuff that money really matters. In terms of the master's program, we got 2 types of master's program. The one, we call it Masters of Mining Engineering by coursework. That means you take a couple of courses, and it's typically a 2-year duration. And indicative tuition fees, as for 2020, is there on your screen, roughly around $75,000. And fees are roughly in the same area. It's around $100,000. And what I'm referring here is only tuition fees. If we are looking at Ph.D., then it's typically 3.5 years to 4 years program. And in Australia, you don't have to have masters to start Ph.D. You can start Ph.D. after your bachelor's as well. And again, if you look at the fees there, it's close to more than $200,000 for the entire program. Obviously, it's a lot of money. And I'm not talking about postdoc at all. I'll come there in a minute. But after seeing all this, what is really important is if you are fortunate and have a scholarship where university waive those tuition fees, but still then you need to have a living expenses from somewhere. And usually, sometimes it comes from the supervisors, from their project and things like that. Postdocs are, again, extremely expensive to have. For example, if I recruit a postdoc for a year, with the similar money, I can recruit a PhD student for 3.5 years. So that's something which have to consider. The other options are short-term exchange, and we do have an exchange program with a couple of universities. Right now, I have a student with me for a year from CUMT, China University of Mining Technology, and they are PhD students. The advantage there is that you don't have to pay that tuition fees. But again, living is a still issue. So again, Sydney is not cheap to live. These are all, I don't want to really paint any rosy picture. but just wanted to outline facts that having a financial support is crucial before you start thinking anything else. There are other options, and for example, if you are doing some work in your university, now it's a global community. You can always interact with other people outside the country and do research that way remotely. Very briefly on how to prepare if you are planning to do something abroad. First of all, I believe you should really find out that what you are genuinely interested in or you are capable of. And, start early. Usually takes about a year or sometimes more than a year, because you have to have your English test, and you have to have, if you are asking for a scholarship, then it's really, you have to start very early. What I believe, you should have really a targeted approach. And what I mean by no fishing is that sometimes I receive email, many times actually, saying that, dear sir, I'm very much interested in your area of research. And then when I talk to my colleague next door, who is working in a very different area, and he shows me the same email from the same student, and that student says that, look, I'm very much interested in your area. So I think it's very important to be genuine and not just claim that you are interested in that particular research area, but actually demonstrate that you are interested in that area, or you have already performed in that area. The key would be, now it's not UNSW specific, all across the globe and also in India now, what matters is your publication, and that too quality peer-reviewed journal publications. Everybody started talking about Q1 publications in India as well. So here is your chance. If you are doing bachelor's, I believe you'll have some form of thesis in your final year. Your chance is to get it right so that you can have a publication, and set that bar too high, it's going to have. Now, more specifically about my research, I'm a mining engineer, but I do all more interdisciplinary research. Started with all fundamental around, this is from 10, 12, 14 years ago, around spectroscopy or photogrammetry, or traditionally you call it remote sensing. Started using all the technologies, which is all along the electromagnetic spectrum, from multispectral, hyperspectral, LiDAR, microwave, you name it, I use it. And then my focus has been always mining, and in two areas: environmental monitoring. And when I say environment, it's all about vegetation, water, air, soil, and also from safety monitoring. And it's all about subsidence or pit slope stability monitoring, or characterization of rock and things like that. I'll give you a few examples in the given time, very few, maybe one from vegetation, water, and soil, like that, today. So I started this research just for mining, but I also, you can see from those titles, it's multidisciplinary. So I got opportunities and kind of consultancy work in other sectors, agriculture, banking, and things like that. And now, more recently, we are moving into, like everybody else, we are moving into this artificial intelligence and robotics and automation and things like that. And that's where whole mining industry is also moving. Just some basics before we go ahead. It's a remote sensing, maybe very little basics. There are two types. One is called optical, one is called active. And you'll find the application everywhere. There are other sensors too. I won't go in detail, but these sensors are kind of becoming, they're very tiny. They're very cheap as well. You can put it on a drone and you can do various things really. However, one thing is very important. exploration through to mine closure, there are various applications of using various type of sensors. Either some of them could be mounted on satellite, some of them could be mounted on aircraft, drone-based or handheld. Key is what sensor or sensors to use for one particular problem, one particular challenge. And often it's kind of an integration of sensors and platforms that's going to solve that problem. Measurements that can help quantify rehab. So this is one example did a few years ago. This is the open cut mine, and what you're seeing on your right hand side is the different plantation campaign rehab at that particular mine. You can pretty much quantify success of that rehab from that satellite image by using remote sensing, and that's what's been done in that particular project. Then again, a few years ago, I tied up with Virginia Tech in US, and we used satellite image and we estimated a biomass of one particular trial area. It's called PRP. The details are there. Then we use some of the there are a lot of abundant mines there, and the problem is around heavy metal leachates and things like that. We put camera on our aircraft and fly, and the idea was here to look at all the yellow triangles that you're seeing are the abundant shafts. So we just wanted to find my last PhD student who completed his PhD was based on this. It's a hyperspectral camera on a drone. I started calling this fingerprinting of ecosystem. And why I use that term? Because we need sometimes satellite image resolutions are not that good enough. If you are looking at very high resolution, minor changes in the ecosystem. So I won't go into detail of these sensors, but we flew this on one of the mine site, and underneath there is a longwall mine, and we were interested in any changes on this swamp, which is highly sensitive. About the texture, height of the plant, and canopy. So if you put this together, hyperspectral and LiDAR, you get a complete picture of the ecosystem. So if anything is changing, even at a subtle level, in that particular study, we had a 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter size of pixel with a lot of band in it, a lot of information that you can, even before you start seeing any stress visually in vegetation, you can actually pretty much detect it with the spectral signatures. So that the study was there. Coming back to water, and we sent that drone to a mine tailing area to collect water sample. This is again some of the remote water collection device. You can start doing a lot of remote water quality monitoring with drone as well. Same thing around soil. We have a couple of other sensors that we use for detecting heavy metal. In this case, it was lead. Coming to safety part, subsidence monitoring. Again, we use satellite based approach there. You're seeing a site there. What we have done, we got a satellite image, microwave. Yes. So from ESA, we got the image from a sensor called Envisat. So we got 44 image in ascending and descending. Don't worry about that right now. But in other words, we had a stack of images and we were just looking at if something is changing because of that longwall coal mining in that area. And what we found, the red dots that you're seeing on your screen, level of movement from the satellite, which is probably around 650 kilometer away from the target. It's quite interesting. So we validated with the GPS. You can see it's quite kind of in a consistency in vertical. Horizontal, it's more aligned. We know GPS is more accurate in horizontal compared to vertical. Using the same approach in surface mining. So traditionally, you use a terrestrial laser scanner to try and find out the structural parameters of any wall. It's going to be a high wall for pit slope stability, but you often get these kind of occlusions or orientation bias. So what you really want to do is you want to just put this this device onto a drone and fly. So that's what we have done as part of one of the other funded project. And we map a high wall and through UAV LiDAR and develop a lot of other processing of that, because the processing part is towards automated identification of structures using the point cloud. So you have a lot of information. You can have a photogrammetry as well. You can have a LiDAR, and you can find out a very detailed characteristic of structures in that area, and it's going to be helpful. Very few slides on underground. We have some handheld accurate mapping of the underground environment. One more thing in underground, when you have a point cloud, then you apply machine learning, and you can find out a lot of automated algorithms. Okay, this is one of my current PhD students has just developed to automatically extract all the roof bolts from the point cloud. Virtual reality, again, because I really want to have some time for Q&A. Once you have all this data coming from either photogrammetry or point cloud or anywhere else, you can actually put everything into a virtual world. That becomes your big data, and then you can we have around, I think, between 7 to 9 PhD students working on off-earth mining. Now, and that's the reality. When we started talking about 5 years ago, people laughed at us, saying that, okay, come on, really, you want to do that? But one of my PhD students is submitting his thesis next week on asteroid mining. There's other student who is working on developing, and this student is a mining graduate, is working on developing some systems for mining on Moon and Mars. I have other student, and she is looking at environmental impact of all this off-earth mining activity. So it's happening, and in a real sense, we have a close collaboration with JPL, NASA. Some of the students are jointly supervised by NASA, and we are doing quite a lot on that area as well. So I think with that, within the time limit, I want to leave room for any questions if you have.
Yes, thanks a lot, Dr. Simit. Really, it is an extraordinary presentation. It is an eye-opening for not only for the students, but many of the other academicians and industry people and other researchers. One or two questions quickly. Anyone wants to have any discussion with Dr. Simit? One or two questions, students or others.
Okay, I can read something from the text. It says that, question from Rahul, are there any internship opportunities in Australia for mining like other department has? Well, again, it's a very open-ended questions, you know,
Yes.
and I believe open-ended questions are, and I'll be very honest, will not get any answer. The thing is,
that's the right answer. That is the right answer, Dr. Smith.
Sorry to being very blunt here, but as I said first in my slide, and nothing personally, Rahul, for you, but I get lots and lots of email like this. So, you know, first thing is you need to find out what you really want to do. Are you really interested in, let's say, water pollution? Are you really interested in air pollution? And what actually justifies that? Can you actually prove that you are really interested in, let's say, geotechnical area? What are the indicators? You have to work on that. At UNSW, you know, if I want to get a promotion, we have a process that from lecturer to senior lecturer, you can apply for a promotion only if you are actually performing at a senior level, mid-senior level, lecturer level already, then you can apply for that. So same applies for a PhD or any internship or any postdoc position. If you are already operating at that level, then you can approach somebody, and I'm sure anybody will take you if you have a case there.
So, Dr. Smith, a small observation. One of my computer science student 10 years back, he was doing something about moon mining and helium, other things. May I know what is the objective of your PhD topic of moon mining?
Well, I have, as I said, we have 9 students. They are doing on various. So somebody is looking at environmental impact. Somebody is looking at more of a geology, exploration, modeling kind of stuff. Somebody is looking at policy.
No, only moon mining you just you can highlight, because we have done some work 10 years back by computer science student.
Yeah. So this is the moon
Only
mining.
what is the objective of your moon mining, your PhD scholar working?
So that student is looking at some of the material excavation system. Now, he initially started with Mars, but you know, in US, the shift is now from Mars to Moon, and that's why something that kind of is useful in terms of material extraction.
Okay, thanks a lot, Dr. Simit. We are extremely happy to know about your work. I already had a long discussion with you earlier. Hope we should explore for joint collaboration work in various forms. I am sure Department of Mining Engineering NIT Surathkal will have some collaboration with you in future. I'll come back to you in a couple of days.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes. Mr. Sharath Kumar is online already. Mr. Sharath, you are there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good morning and welcome. So Sharath Kumar Pallarla is very well known in Indian mining industry. He is actually a big boss for many mining companies. With a brief introduction, Mr. Sharath Kumar has graduated from Osmania University and he obtained his M.Tech degree from Indian School of Mines, Dhanbad, in the area of environmental management. And he also has a postgraduate diploma in software applications. He has worked for almost more than 2 decades in Singareni collieries in various capacities. And he is also holding first class mines manager certificate. He has prepared EIF reports for more than 60 coal mining projects. He was shuttling between Singareni and Delhi to get the clearances. Later, he joined as a director in Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. And he has cleared more than or evaluated more than 500 projects related to various mining and other industries. He served as Director of National Project Director for Implementation of Biomedical Waste and is notified Solid Waste Management Rules 2016, Construction and Demolition Waste Management Rules 2016, Biomedical Waste Management Rules, and worked as Administrator Head of Air Prevention and Control Pollution Act. He is very active in the Ministry of MOF. Hope in the recent past, whatever the major changes has taken place in clearing the projects online mode, all these things, he is the key person. Some of you may be proud because I know he was my senior in B.Tech. During major pollution in Delhi, he was the person who made a presentation in the PMO to none other than our Prime Minister Narendra Modi, how to curb this issue immediately. Such a knowledge-based person, all these things are there on his web profile, and this, above all, he is a simple person. The day when I met in 1995 as a B.Tech first year student, today also I have the same freedom to talk to him. When I talk over phone, even my kids will surprised whether you are professionals or just casually you talk and discuss. Because even today I call him as Bhaiya. So people will keep changing when they grow in ladder. But Sharath is a different, I call different person whom I have seen in my professional life. In spite of his busy schedule, you can see him in many times, almost on alternate days and some webinar keynote speaker. Because it is for students, when I made a request, Sharath has agreed immediately to speak. He is speaking on environmental impact assessment. In fact, MOF is recruiting, it seems, some project consultant. Even this I came to know. Such key points I requested him to deliver. Now, Sharath, it is over to you.
Thank you very much. I would like to share my presentation.
Yes.
Is it visible?
Not yet.
No? Not yet. Now you can try once again. I will share. Is it? Thank you. Actually, I would like to share. So, what are the opportunities which are available to mining engineers in the environmental field? Actually, when we see that the mining engineers So they normally feel that so their opportunities are limited to a mining only, but within the mining also lot of interdisciplinary requirements are there. So one of the interdisciplinary subject is the environment. So the first in my own life and my experience itself, though I am a mining engineer, so the first of all I visited one of the projects in the Singareni Collieries when I studied in the Kottagudem School of Mines. So there was some EIA study was going on, and that I have taken as a vocational training and a thesis for my project. From that day onwards, so somewhat I have been passionate to this, and now as a mining engineer working in the Ministry of Environment and Forest, and say being a part of the policy maker. So this myself is an example. So how we can enter into the other areas like the environmental. Next. See, you all know that any project and activity, any developmental activity which do require the environmental clearance, so that is a mandated under the Environment Protection Act 1986 in the country. That is also includes your mining projects irrespective of the mining lease area, as well as irrespective of the nature of the mining, and as well as the type of the mineral, whether it is a coal mining, whether it is a hydrocarbon, whether it is a minor minerals, whether it is a major minerals, everything, whether it is the mining, so from the 0 hectares to any extent do require the prior environment clearance before commencement of the project. So that is the mandatory requirement which is called by the Environment Protection Act. So not only for the new establishments, it also whenever the project goes for an extension in terms of the production capacity or the mining lease, it do require the environment clearance, and even the change in the product mix also do require the environment clearance. So this is the mandatory requirement from the government in the country. Next. Next. See, based on the categorization of the project, based on the extent of the project, these are categorized as a category A, category B1 and category B2. Category A projects are appraised at the central level, and that environment clearance is issued by the Ministry of Environment and Forest. For projects which are more than 100 hectares is categorized under A. Whereas for category B1, 5 to 100 hectares, so these are delegated at the state level, and environment clearance is issued by the State Environmental Impact Assessment Authority. And whereas the B2 less than 5 hectares, so the District Environmental Impact Assessment Authority. So that the hierarchy is available right from the central level to the district level. So almost authorities are available across the country for regulating the mining activity from the environmental perspective. Next. What are the procedures involved in the environment clearance? If you see, so initially we need to prescribe the terms of reference, then preparation of EIA and EMP report. So that is the environmental impact assessment and environment management plan, and then it goes for the public consultation, which is carried by the State Pollution Control Board or Union Territory Pollution Control Committees, and an expert appraisal by the expert appraisal committees. Next, please. So, why I'm saying is, why I'm bringing all these things is, so before saying what are the opportunities that are available to the mining engineers, so just I am giving the background. So where actually the mining engineers, the role comes in this particular subject and the environmental impact assessment. So if you see what is mean by EIA, EIA is nothing but an assessment. The previous speaker has given that what are the techniques for predicting, what are the mathematical models that are available for the different attributes of the environment, how to calculate not only the quantified, qualitatively, quantitatively, what are the impacts that has to be carried, that he has explained. So that basically you see what is the impact of the mining or impact of any activity on the environmental attributes like air, water, soil, noise, flora, fauna, like that in terms of the physical, in terms of the biological, in terms of the social impacts. So that is called as an environmental impact assessment. So this is the tool which is really used for any decision makers, including the regulatory bodies, whether the mining or any other activity which is able to allow or not. So this is the technical tool that is available and being used, and now it is a statutory requirement. Next. Next, please. See, coming to the impact. So what is the, say, the baseline scenario? What is the baseline scenario? Whether what is the pre-mining conditions in terms of air, water, land, and the flora and fauna and socio-economic, so which is existing in the area before the mining operations, and once the mining is conceptualized in any area, so how it will have the impact on the each of the attributes on the air, water, and land. And so for this, so different mathematical models with different the technologies, remote sensing, GIS, and all, so many techniques are being used for the prediction. So how it will have an impact and what will be the cumulative impact, whether that area has got the carrying capacity to withhold or sustain the mining operations or not. So that this is the techniques that will be used. And the EIA report, once it is prepared, so is going to be scrutinized by the various levels at the expert appraisal committees and followed by the regulatory authorities at the central level and state level and district level. So, and even this is the report which is being put before the public also to take the consent of the local social consent to operate as to the public consultation. Next. So if you see that the impact, of course, so you all know that it will have the impact on land, air, water pollution, noise and ground vibration, socioeconomics, and flora and fauna. Next. See, coming to the actual subject, so what are the opportunities to the mining engineers? See, this is all the mandatory requirement as I told you. So as per the different statutes, as per the Environment Protection Act, environment clearance is required. As per the Air and Water Acts, consent to establishment and consent to operate for the mining is required. And under the hazardous waste management rules, so authorization is required. Like the various acts, rules specifies the different consents, NOCs, and permissions, clearances that for the mining operations. If somebody asks, so how many of the clearances that is required for a mining to operate? So it is about 18 to 19 such clearances under the different acts, rules, and regulations is required for carrying out the mining operation. So everywhere in all 19 clearances, the role of mining engineers will be definitely there. So if you see that, so the role of the mining engineers at the mining projects, it is there. And at the consultant organizations. Why consultant organization? I will come to that. So for preparation of EIA, EMP report and accredited consultant organizations and functional area experts and EIA coordinates is a mandatory requirement. So one can enter into this consulting field also for planning as well as preparing the impact assessment reports, and then an opportunity is in the regulatory body. Next, please. See, if you see them, what are the opportunities at the mining companies? See, at the mines, so the people has to comply with the environment clearance conditions. So they have to take out the monitoring and they have to carry out the monitoring of the efficacy of the pollution control devices that has been taken place, and they have to report to the regulatory authorities on the annual basis, quarterly basis, and half-yearly basis. So not only the implementation, regulating, and monitoring, so their role is very key at the mines level. So if you see in any mining companies, so there is a cell or the department called as an environment department, so wherein the role of mining engineers with some specialization in the environmental, either the PG diploma or the masters in environmental engineering, so will have a definite opportunities at the mines level and at the corporate level, because as I told you, the so it calls for the so many statutory clearances do require for not only establishment, even for an operation of the mining, so it they require. So at the corporate level also, the role of mining engineers is very significant, and at the planning and the planning departments, so several planning departments including the CSR laboratories like SIMFAR and NEERI, such are there, so where the opportunities of the mining in the environment is available. Next, please. See, at the, as I told you, the consultant organization, see, this consultant organization need to be accredited with the Quality Council of India and National Board for Education and Training. So that is called as QCI NABED. So that to accredit the consultant organization who are eligible to prepare the reports and present before the expert appraisal committee. So there is some requirement. The scheme is there, which is devised by the Quality Council of India. So there should be an EIA coordinator, so who plays a role of a team leader, and whereas the functional area experts, so there are about 12 functional area experts in the different components like the air pollution, water pollution, land use, land cover, then the solid and hazardous waste management, then noise and vibration, air quality modeling. So they have divided the subject into the 12 functions. So for each of the functions, the functional area expertise do require who meets with the qualification and the experience and expertise can be able to get an accreditation with the QCI, and they can only perform for the purpose of the preparation of EIA EMP reports. And there is not only the in-house, so there is an empaneled expert provision is also there. One can utilize, and one can share their knowledge and experience and expertise in the form of empaneled experts also. So that provision is also there. People might have not knowing about this empaneled expert provision or the see opportunities in these areas. Next, please. See opportunities with the regulatory body. Say that not only the MOEF, even with the CPCB, SPCBs, Ministry of Coal, Ministry of Mines, and of course the Ministry of Labor and the DGMS. So at the different regulatory bodies, the people have, but particularly coming to the environment field, so now the regulatory bodies like the MOEF, CPCB, SPCBs, NEERI, and are taking the mining engineers with some specialization in the environment in their roles and responsibilities. Then coming to the state, also state pollution control boards also they are started taking the mining engineers as a regional officers and zonal officers. Then expert committee members. See, as I told you, at the central level, there are about 8 to 10 expert appraisal committees are there, and in each state, there is the State Environmental Impact Assessment Authority and state level expert appraisal committees. And the district level expert appraisal committees, if you see in the different states, several mining engineers are performing as an expert members in these fields. Even I think about 10 to 12 people are already serving as an expert member, and our Professor Jayantu sir, who is on board, he performed as an expert member for I think several years in different states as a state expert appraisal committee member. Next, please. So coming to the particularly focusing on the specialized, the person who can take as a profession, as an EIA can also be taken as a profession. So they can also perform as an EIA coordinator and functional area experts, and then the laboratory. These three requirements are required mandatorily for any accredited consultant organization to get an accreditation with the Quality Council of India. Next. See, What are the eligibilities? If you go into the eligibilities, so for the EIA coordinator, so he has to have at least 7 years of experience in the field, then only he can perform as a EIA coordinator for a category A projects, and for 5 years with a 5 years of experience for category B projects is eligible as a EIA coordinator. Then so there is an opportunity as a functional area experts in the core. So core means so that these are the full-fledged and in-house experts which are available with the accredited consultant organizations, for which the mining engineers are eligible in these areas like air pollution control. So the mining engineering is an eligibility criteria in this. Then solid and hazardous waste functional area also the mining engineers are allowed. Then air quality modeling, so mining engineers are allowed. As a see this empaneled experts, including that these experts can be a in-house experts, but the fields are that noise and vibration, hydrology, geology, and risk assessment and hazards. So these are the functional areas where the Quality Council of India and the National Accreditation Board is allowing a mining engineers to be get accredited and to recognize themselves as a experts in these fields. So for further details, if you want, so you can go to the QCI website. So there is a complete version of the scheme is available where so what are the criteria, how exactly what is the accreditation procedure and all. See, as an EIA coordinator, NABET scheme says that the qualification is bachelor's or master's in mining engineer or environmental engineering. For a mining projects, I am just focusing on a mining projects. So there are about 39 to 40 such types of categories are available. Mining is one among these 40 types of activities which are listed in the schedule of the EIA notification 2006. And if you come into the experience, the mandatory experience is 7 years for the category A projects. As I told you, for the more than greater 100 hectares mining lease area, and 5 years for a category B projects, that is 5 to 100 hectares. Less than 5 hectares also even the RQPs, recognized qualified persons under section 22.5 of the MMRD is also available are eligible for the category B2 projects, for the mining of minor minerals particularly, and sectoral experience. They could have completed the 3 completed EIAs and 3 environmental assignments or combination thereof, and 2 years of experience in the industry, either in the EHS or in the project or operation and maintenance. So these are the experience, expertise, and the qualification for to perform as an EIA coordinator. So these are the opportunities so which are available to a mining engineers in the field of environment. Thank you, and if you have any questions in this regard, let me know, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sharath Kumar. Any 1 or 2 questions, please?
Dr. Sharath?
Yes,
Ji?
Yes, sir.
Are you not counting the experience of faculty members?
Yes, please.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
If let's say Ramchandra wants to panel himself as EIA coordinator, will you not count his experience as faculty?
Yeah, sir. It is that it should be related with both the environment and mining. So anything. So they have in the Quality Council of India, they have, for example, karke diya. So they have given, or otherwise. So the even research experience and the teaching experience also they consider, and most of the expert members in our expert appraisal committees are the faculty members from the different people. Even very recently, our Ved Kumar, who has passed away very recent, he was an expert committee member in the state SEAC Andhra, sir.
Okay, another thing, will PhD in environment area, the number of years spent on PhD in environment area be considered as an experience?
Yes, sir. For the PhD, said so they are giving them a weightage of 3 years. 3 years.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
So
thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Sharath. I think many of us, even teachers, researchers, also got benefited. Not only students. This legal framework.
Yeah. It is for the everyone. It is for
Yes,
the
yes.
everyone whosoever is in this field, so they can enter into this field. So these are the opportunities available as a statutory available. These are the statutory positions also.
Yes. This information is very valuable information you have given. Thank you very much for joining us in spite of your busy schedule, because you are very busy with Parliament session. Also, you have to answer so many questions. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll move to the next speaker. Almost all our speakers are online already. I request Dr. H.S. Venkatesh, Director, National Institute of Rock Mechanics, Bangalore.
Yeah, Dr.
Yes,
Chandra, I am online. Yes.
Yes, sir. I've seen you. Dr. Venkatesh is a well-known researcher and administrator and an expert in the area of rock blasting in India. Many of us have already know his work, but for formality, I will give a brief introduction. And Dr. Venkatesh has graduated in mining engineering from Kothagudem School of Mines, that is Usmania University, in the year 1986. Subsequently obtained his M.Tech and Ph.D. degrees from M.Tech from IIT BHU and Ph.D. from our own department, NITK Surathkal. His area of expertise is rock blasting and rock excavation engineering. He has completed more than 180 projects and published 70 publications. He is active in professional activities, like he is Vice Chairman of Mining Engineers Association of India, Bangalore chapter, Vice President of International Society for Rock Mechanics, India chapter. He is an expert member in various committees. Recently, he is on the board of Coal India R&D board also. And he has popularized many blasting technologies in India, not only in mining, but many civil engineering projects like tunneling projects, tidal power projects. In fact, NITK and NIRM work together for Bangalore Metro. Lot of underground metro stations were blast designs were given by NIRM and NITK jointly. And now he is generating, I think, millions of rupees from Bhutan hydro projects. I think after he has taken up the directorship at NIRM, the revenue generation has gone up significantly. Most of us are aware. Talk to him. Thank you very much, sir. And above for Diamond Jubilee celebration year of hand.
Say to the mining engineers who are listening. Seniors, colleagues, juniors. If you are looking for better opportunities, let me tell you, seamless. Now, the only thing is, I will pick up from the previous speaker what he told, that fishing across does not lead you anywhere. As a mining engineer, if you start fishing, then it doesn't lead. It is like jumping aimlessly. You don't know 360 degrees, you are moving around and you don't know where to land, because jumping, it takes out your energy, but at the time of performance, you don't know what exactly to perform. Now, with this little bit of introduction, let me tell you, I have been asked to speak about opportunities in mining and infra projects. As I said, it is seamless because NIRM in 30 years has done over 1200 projects and has interacted with more than 300 organizations. And my organization has got only 3 or 4 disciplines, primarily mining engineers, civil engineers, geophysicists, geologists. So these 4 streams are taking care of the entire, around 1200 projects have been done, around 800 publications has been done. What does it mean? That there is huge potential for a mining engineer right now in India. The second point is that having got the potential, now how do I land with an opportunity? I will tell you, Professor Ramchandra, to change this. Yeah, thank you. Sorry. Yeah, the most important thing, 2 things which has to go into your blood. That is that when you have, I will go back to your PU days or 12th class, when you are preparing to go to IIT, or you are preparing to go to NIT, or you are going to prepare to go to a regional college or within your state, the preparations are different. If you have to start for JEE, now it is called advanced, if you have to start for them, you have to start at a much earlier age, like how they do it in Rajasthan, in Andhra, though I don't subscribe to that kind of rigorous working, but people start maybe at 8th and then prepare for the 12th JEE. Now, if you are working for NITs, probably if you are starting at 10th or 11th JEE mains, you take it and then you land up into NITs. And for other colleges, maybe 3 to 6 months of effort, you take some Karnataka CSET or M.Set for this thing. What does it indicate? Preparation, what you should know where you want to reach. After 12th, if you say that I will take a JEE advanced examination and I want to land in IIT, it's not possible. Similarly, for a mining engineer, in the first year, it is mandatory that I will love my branch. This is very, very important. I meet a lot of students. I also get a lot of mails stating that I want to do this, do that. Why you want to do it? I will use these opportunities as a springboard and I will shift to masters in some other discipline. Now, if you are looking at that way, your opportunities are lost for 10 years because what you have learned for 4 years, it is 0. Now you want to restart your career in masters going into computers. I am not discouraging you people. Now, if you are at NIT and think I had a branch, but I want an NIT stamp, NIT Surathkal, so I will join mining or metallurgy or chemical technology, but within 4 years, I will use it as a stamp, rubber stamp, so that I will go to computer science or big data analysis. In that case, I suggest to the first year students that if you have an opportunity to change your branch or quit the mining branch and rewrite next year and seek that opportunities, because you are going to lose your 4 years, and mining engineering is a specialization. I tell you, all other branches are surviving but for mining. Let me tell you, all branches, what cannot be grown has to be mined. A computer science graduate, if he has to work on a chip, the chip, silicon or whatever you need, it has to be extracted out of a mineral. So mining engineering profession is not like a service industry. It is a hardcore engineering. So hardcore engineering means that you have to work extremely hard, make your career, 10 to 12 years you have to integrate it, and then you will start the dividends. Other branches, I don't want to name the other branches, which can provide a service, like I compare it with the Uber pool, big basket. What does it indicate? It is a business model wherein you integrate a set of people and then deliver a solution. But mining is not like that. You have to be the part of the problem, part of the solution. Now, when you have a business integrators, you have huge volumes of requirement, but you only see the high bracket pace. And you feel that all computer engineers, all software engineers are landing into 30 lakh job. No, no, no. If you are as a hardcore engineer, if you start with a 4 lakh, 6 lakh job, let me tell you, 15, 20 years down the line, you are seeing across all the mining engineers who are the speakers today have landed into top positions. All the mining engineers who have dreamt very big and stuck to their mining disciplines have led to. I see Professor Jayanto. He has been hardcore practicing mining engineer in the field. He moved into research and he moved into consulting. And then today he is a renowned professor. Now, what does it mean? He has never forgotten his ethics that I am a mining engineer. Professor Sharma, I am seeing him. He is a mining engineer. So what I say that fishing will not lead to good opportunities in mining and infra. Now, with this small briefing, may I take to the next slide, please? Now, this is where it is. Once I understand that the mining engineers who are listening to me have accepted that I will pursue my career in mining, and it's a long drawn battle. It is like at Ladakh. We have to see the winters, summers, rainy seasons, hilltops, less oxygen, less facilities. But if you are walking through, then let me tell you, the first opportunity for a mining engineer will be cool. So that when you go to interviews, you should be knowing what is an underground mine, what is an open cast mine. You should be very, very fluent with your technical knowledge. This is required. Many of these public sectors nowadays are taking through GATE. So in the final year, you realize that, come on, my friends are landing in a good job, but I am not able to, because the hiccup is they are not giving direct interviews, they are taking through GATE. Then what you have to do in second year, you have to wake up. It's a wake up call. There you have to realize that I will continue for mining. If I am going to mining, so you should know what is the entry at the fourth year, 3-3-2. I don't know, 3-1 or 3-2 when the interview people come third year, first semester or second semester. Whether if they are asking for GATE, you should start preparing in the second year. If you want to be a manager, you want to go into management, either CAT or GMAT, you start in the second year. If you want for higher studies, you start for GRE or TOEFL in 2-1 or 2-2. So that by 3-2, you are having the grades, TOEFL and GRE, GMAT, CAT scores. So it's up to you. But if you want to go into the mines, be very clear that do you need GATE score or not. So start preparing for GATE and then be technically very strong. Now, second one is that much easier to this is the explosive industry, where you can go and sell explosives. You can sell explosives and or you can gain some experience. If you have a working experience in coal mines or metal mines, you can shift into technical services of this explosive industry. This is the areas where straightforward mining engineers can apply and get a job from undergraduation and masters. The third one is the equipment manufacturers, drills, underground machines, excavators manufacturers, integrated systems, conveyors. All these manufacturers need your services. So my seniors, my friends have taken out their careers in Atlas Copco, in O&K, and a lot of these companies. Explosive industry, Orica is there. Then solar explosives are there. Many more than around 60-70 explosive manufacturers are there. But choice is yours, whether you want to be in marketing or in technical services. These are the hardcore jobs. Now I want to go into a softer jobs wherein I don't want to soil my collar. the white shirt should remain white only, then what you can do is that you can go into this mining software companies wherein you can be a marketing guy, because who is better than to sell a mining software than a mining engineer? You cannot code a software, but you can sell a software. Its applications you can tell better than that. But once if you have on the hands experience on some of these softwares, you can be technical managers in those organizations and grow. Teaching, I have two eminent professors here. I would not like to dwell upon it. They will touch upon it probably, but teaching is also a long drawn battle nowadays, because you need your masters and PhD. So it's not so easy, and always you need to be in touch. You should love reading. And you should be amenable to absorb from all directions simultaneously. So it's not that key, and retain it and then give it back to the students. It's the toughest profession I see as on today for a mining engineer is teaching. And then R&D. R&D is in a minuscule in India. There are few organizations which can directly take mining engineers, civil engineers, as I rightly said. It is SIMFER and my organization, National Institute of Rock Mechanics. These two, they recruit mining engineers. I will talk about this in my almost penultimate slide about the opportunities in NIRM, probably in SIMFER. So R&D also you can come, but for R&D once again nowadays we are more inclined into with masters and preferably with PhD. Undergraduation is the eligibility, but still we look into for masters and PhD. Coming to these things, now you can work into the private sectors like there are many private operators who want quantity for all these minor minerals. Annual surveys have to be done. If you want still softer job, you can go to those consulting organizations and then work for them, bulk surveying through drones, and then you make reports and you have got 10 to 12 clients in a year and make your money. So this is soft tools, acquiring these skills, and then you can continue to work in this kind of this thing. Other one is that there are many consultants are there, like NIRM is there. We hire project fellows, project scientists. There are S&T projects, and some consultants are running, retired people are running consultancy organizations. In that also there is a huge need for mining engineers. Now R&D has once again come in cut and paste. I'm sorry. May I have the next slide? Now coming to my organization. Now when you say this is what the research in India basically is, whether it is from the research organizations or from teaching institutes, these are the three sectors where mining and civil people, geology people are involved. Consultancy in mining sector, and then projects in mining sector. In energy sector, when I mean it is nuclear energy construction or thermal projects construction or hydroelectric project construction. So these are, I am talking about the infrastructure. Infrastructure is for the, let us say that the tunnel at the Rohtang Pass, which was recently opened, that Atal tunnel. It's a big tunnel by the BRO. And then the entire Uttarakhand for Char Dham, we are going to do a lot of road widening and then tunneling. These are. Then we are expanding 6-lane road projects, metro projects. Underground, with huge metros are coming out. We need huge excavation for in all these areas. All these areas are being now serviced either by a civil engineer or a geologist, because no mining engineer is reaching there. If mining engineer reaches, let me tell you, the projects will be completed almost 6 months ahead of time. Now those projects are getting delayed by 3 to 6 years because no mining engineer wants to work there. Everybody wants to work in Bangalore or in Pune or in Hyderabad coding C++. Now the opportunities are huge for this. These infrastructure projects are needing mining engineers And all these companies dealing with these works, there are more than 300 companies, as I rightly said. All these people are coming to NIRM. Why they are coming to NIRM? Why they are going to NIT Rourkela? Why they are going to IIT BHU for consultancy? The reason is that we provide mining engineers through us. Now, if you directly go and join there, you can make a career there. They are looking for you people. Now, when I come to work areas, mining, energy, infra, under these things, what we have got? Underground or open cast mine problems are there, like slope stability problem is there. We got problem of underground design requirements. So all these things, you need a mining engineer. Coming to why I repeatedly say mining engineer, there was a slide shown by one of my predecessors that drone is used to understand the vegetation on top of a longwall mine, the implications of the changes in the whatever vegetation we are taking. It has to be linked to the below ground workings. Let me say, if I am a computer science graduate or a mechanical engineer, I will be well versed in understanding the data, but the link of the pros and cons. If I do not know there is a longwall mine or a board and pillar mine, and what exactly is a GOF area, where the subsidence will be, where the subsidence will not be, what is the moment of the advance of the phase. If these things are not understood, two independent parameters are analyzed, donkeys and monkeys, it gives a relationship. So the mining engineer, if he works in his hardcore mining and adds these skills to him, I am telling you, he will be ruling the world. He will be ruling the world. But if you directly say that I will learn big data, artificial intelligence from mining engineer, 4 years are wasted. 4 years are wasted, let me tell you. But if you want to pursue in these organizations with added skills of your programming, image processing, whatever skill it is, value addition to mining, the interpretation once again has to come back to your basics, that is engineering, or else it is like pharmacist writing a prescription, not a doctor writing a prescription. A mining engineer handling a drone, and for a mining projects, understanding the subsidence, and any other person handling a drone and on Excel or in SPSS, you can do the predictive model. Let me tell you, it is like pharmacist giving a prescription. Why I am repeatedly telling this is that mining engineers take pride in your work. First start loving. If you do not love, this is not a place for you to continue your profession. You can have alternative skills. You can equally sell vegetables. There is one almond house which is very popular in Hyderabad. The owner is a chemical engineer for BITS Pilani. BITS Pilani or BITS. I don't know, one more BITS. So he is from BITS. So what I want to tell is, it is one of the best. But for a mining engineer, alternative, every discipline has got, mining has also got alternative. But with core mining, entire gamut of life is open for you, like hydel projects, like Professor Ramchandra rightly said, huge projects are happening in Nepal, Bhutan. We are having huge shortage of manpower, mining engineers for them. Railway tunnels are across, more than the country is operating with in infrastructure industry, 2 lakh crore worth of projects. 2 lakh crore worth of projects are there. Now, we have irrigation projects, the largest lift irrigation in Telangana. Almost 50,000 crores of money has gone into what? Into tunneling, and the aggregate what you got it for cement, for those lining and everything, once again has to come from mining industry. The steel has to come from iron ore mines. So that 50,000 crores whatever has been spent on lift irrigation in Telangana, the mining, civil and the geology people can work on this. Crude storage projects, underground crude storage, it's a big project is going on. I would not like to reveal some of the things wherein we are working, but huge projects are going on. Nuclear power plants. Across the country, we need huge 25 million meter cube of excavations have to be done. Marine projects, breakwaters, you need armor rock blasting, airports, metros, civil constructions. So for a mining engineer, you should decide where you want to land yourself, prepare for that. You have plenty of jobs. Next slide, please. Now at National Institute of Rock Mechanics, we are into two basic streams, research disciplines, which is site characterization. For site characterization, wherever these dams are located, wherever these mines are there, we need to understand what kind of rock mass is there. So engineering geology studies, I don't dwell upon that. Engineering geophysics is required, geotechnical engineering, engineering seismology, seismotectonics. Now, these are all integrated different disciplines are there, but geotechnical engineering, where you can classify the rock mass for tunnels, tunneling, and then support design, all these things can be done by a mining engineer. When it comes to rock fracture mechanics and testing laboratory, we have one of the best in the country. I don't say that the others are not good, but we have one of the finest facilities for rope testing and the rock testing at NIRM. We have a facility at Kolar Goldfields exclusively for rock testing, so people can work in those areas. Soil also they can work. Then rock blasting and excavation engineering, this is my domain expertise. 32 years I have taken in rock blasting and excavation engineering, and I am heading the National Institute of Rock Mechanics, a multidisciplinary organization. So what I say is that many people ask me that you are working in a narrow area, can you reach the top? I say that in any area, if a person mining engineer works, he can reach the top because it is very easy for him to understand the other domain expertise. So I do not call a mining engineer is jack of all, master of none. I say that a mining engineer knows everything, but master of what he passionately wants to pursue. Like how I pursued blasting, Professor Jayantu has pursued his career in ground control. He was with NIRM he was heading the ground control department. Both are classmates, both are mining engineers, but both are, it is like north-south. What I blast, he supports. But both are earning our living through this. So what I am saying, mining engineer has got from north to south, east to west opportunities. We all culminate at the origin because we all work together. So your choice. If you are doing rock blasting and excavation engineering, yes, you reach numerical modeling. So this is the area. I don't want to go into intricacies of each thing. So you go back and see our website. You will know what kind of work NIRM is doing and SIMPER is doing. And then you can talk to your faculty. They are very learned. Whichever organization, institutes you are, Rourkela, BHU, then ISM, and then Nagpur. You have all one of the finest mining engineers in the mining department. So you can talk to them and understand geomechanics and ground control department, mine design. All what I am saying, these are specializations, but fundamentally you should be a mining engineer, allowed to be a mining engineer, and choose which disciplines you went to. I have given the example of Professor Jayantu and myself. Both are classmates, but we pursued in two different disciplines in the same organizations and diametrically opposite field. I break and he constructs. He supports. So this is the variability of mining engineer. Then you can go into ventilation. My classmate J.K. Pandey is there in SIMPER. He is a ventilation expert. So we create blasting fumes, he clears it. So we create opportunity for each other. May I have the next slide, please?
Try to conclude.
Yeah, please. And so before I have another 2 minutes, I will take. What all I have said, I will show it in a pictorial form. This is the control blasting for BMRCL in Bangalore city. That means a mining engineer can earn his living as a blasting expert, and this is what we have brought blasting mining to city of Bangalore. The second one is at the toe of the dam. Tungabhadra Dam is constructed in 1911, and we have constructed a mini hydroelectric project on the toe of the dam. This is the job of a mining engineer. Next slide, please. This is a pre-splitting for a nuclear project. This is done by my colleague, Mr. Gopinath. It is a 15-meter pre-split. This is a specialization which no civil engineer or a geologist can do. It's a mining engineer's son. So we have said a lot of, so this is one work a mining engineer can continue to do. Next slide, please. Armor rock, breakwaters, marine, the rock which is going to the sea, Vishakhapatnam or at any other place, Mangalore, is generated by a mining engineer. This is what we call the riprap blasting. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is the underground caverns of Bhutan I am showing. I don't have time, but there was a huge fall and a mining engineer gave a solution to the Bhutan problem. We create an access, the top access, what you are seeing, it was locked up and people were saying that if you create a tunnel, the whole cavern is will come down. Not an inches moved. This is what a mining engineer can do. Next slide, please. Chennai airport, we are right now we are blasting. You can see Go Air is sitting and almost around 30 meters. We are continuing to do blasting and construct airports. Who does the airport? Mining engineer does an airport. Next slide, please. Next, this is numerical modeling. I don't want to go into. We can model it, model a failure, model a joint. Seamlessly we can work. This is the tool, but you need to be a mining engineer to understand the three-dimensional aspect. Next slide, please. Now what you young students can do at NIRM, you can come to us for short-term summer training for few students in many departments. You will see our website, and a lot of NITK students and students from Hyderabad and students from different mining disciplines come for there, and we put you onto the active projects. Then we have project fellows as temporary staff we can involve so that you can enhance your profiles. Then we recruit scientists through open advertisements. Minimum qualification is B.Tech, but M.Tech and Ph.D. is preferred. Thank you. I'm sorry if I have taken a little bit more time, but thanks, Dr. Ramchandra.
No, sir, you are in time. Thank you very much, sir. It is a big motivation for many youngsters, and you have shown many live projects which you are taking up and your organization. We don't have much time to go for questions. From IIT BHU is a well-known teacher to most of us. In fact, he taught me during my M.Tech almost 20 years back. So it is very difficult to tell about my own teacher. Professor Sanjay Kumar Sharma, presently professor at IIT BHU, he was former head of the department. He is an active speaker, a great orator. During lockdown, you must have seen many of his videos on Facebook. I think almost weekends he's speaking on Hindu mythology. Or I am in constant touch for the last 2 decades with him. Sir can link the technology with mythology and history. You give any topic, no, he has that skill. I did not see any academicians are good at speaking, but not like this. So I don't want to go his professional CV reading together. That is my experience. He is an excellent orator. And he gave 175 invited lectures, and not only the technical but in general also. And coming to technical side also, he has completed 122 projects, edited 8 books, published more than 50 quality papers in various journals, and he is very active in BHU campus also. He is a member in various committees, and whomsoever the director, the task where you need to interact with more people, no, Professor S.K. Sharma will be there in such committees. Thank you very much, sir, for accepting my request. And co-convener Manoj, also your student at BHU. And of course, many are your students only. And I'm sure the young generation will get benefited from his talk. I request Professor Sharma to start.
Thank you, Dr. Ramchandra. I must congratulate the convener and the co-convener both for placing me between 2 of my seniors. Jayantu is my senior, immediate senior in M.Tech, and Venkatesh was also there. So in fact, they have done hand-holding professionally to us. So immediate seniors सारी चीज बताते हैं. I have been asked to speak, and I am speaking at a point of time where a lot of technical inputs have already gone into the research scholars. I'll be taking them to a different, I'll say, latitude to operate upon for successful career into research. What motivates a researcher? And why should a researcher in mining engineering be glued to a field? As Venkatesh has said, that I am into blasting for 32 years. What can motivate you? Now, for that, before I enter into details of it, I would like to share 3 of the most drastic accidents and disasters that mining industry has faced. First one is, and all these 3 have contributed to the growth of research in mining. First one that I would like to share is Coalbrook disaster. This was in South Africa. It was 21st January 1960, 7:27 p.m. and within 5 minutes, that is from 7:27 p.m. to 7:32 p.m., 900 coal pillars collapsed and a phenomena called cascading pillar failure occurred. And out of the 1,000 miners underground in Coalbrook, 437 people were buried alive, and on an area of 3 kilometers square, a subsidence of half meter, 550 centimeter subsidence occurred within 5 minutes. So all this activity occurred within 5 minutes. That speaks of the suddenness of the attack of mining engineering industry. You will be attacked when you are unprepared. And research is needed to avoid such disasters, because mining industry, when it attacks, doesn't permit you any time to respond back or to save yourself or to rescue yourself. That should be the source of seriousness in doing mining and understanding phenomena of mining. After Coalbrook disaster, MDG Solomon was the scientist or engineer who was asked to go for developing a formula for pillar design. And if you see, after post 1960, entire 60s has seen lot of pillar design research. The whole thrust on pillar design came after 1960, and you have that famous pillar design formula of Solomon and Munro. So let us understand, I'll quote Solomon to understand the actual pragmatic research being done into mining. Why mining research is different from others. I'm quoting Solomon. He says, we face the classical dilemma of an engineer. We did not have the relevant science, and we could not wait for the slow progress of research. We had to improvise and search for a new, perhaps even an unconventional method of solution. Mining by nature is empirical. Most of its terms of operation are evolved from the experiences that we have had in successful mining. And after every disaster, we have revisited mining operations and come out with newer sets of rules and operational tools. So actual research, functional research, makes a good mining engineer and has been done. This effort has been done since the mining took its first activity and is still continuing. But let me say, the challenge continues today, and I will share again. I'll quote Mokshgundam Vishwesvaraya, then I'll go to another disaster to discuss something more serious. Bharat Ratna Mokshgundam Vishwesvaraya used to say that science is about knowing and engineering is about doing. But today, it's different. We operate in engineering science, which is a married combination, which is about knowing what we are doing, why we are doing it, and the perennial quest and search for a better way to do that, for doing what we are doing. This provides the universe of research of today, the canvas of research of today, and therefore it's a perpetually relevant activity for every research scholar who is entering the mining industry. Now let's go to another slide, another accident. I'll now share upper farm disaster. On 21st October 1966, I discussed 1960, that led to Colebrook, led to pillar design research. On 21st October 1966, we had a slope disaster in Aberfarm, UK Wells. Now what had happened was the tip of the crest of the west dump slope of a coal mine started moving with a speed of 1 meter per second. And the slope was 111 feet high, and the volume of the slurry, the rock debris that started moving, was 1,40,000 cubic yards. So it was a huge mass of west rock that started moving with a speed of 1 meter per second. Those of you who remember Kedarnath disaster, they can visualize what would have happened in Aberfarm. So in Aberfarm, it was a morning, and just on the base of that dump, there was a primary school in which 114 students, the children, were buried alive. And that caused so huge trauma that Queen Elizabeth II did not dare to visit the site. And after 66, if you see the literature, there was huge thrust on slope stability assessment and research on slope stability, your Janu's method and all your slices method, limit equilibrium method. You'll find all these methods within 10 years they developed from 66 to 76. If you find lot of slope stability researches were done on theory part. So theory advanced a lot, and a better understanding prevails today in the area of slope stability. But I would say that 114 children had to sacrifice for that because of the adamancy of National Coal Board. The tribunal that said that the Upper Farm disaster could and should have been prevented. Look the word, the tribunal, UK tribunal is saying on National Coal Board that Upper Farm disaster could have been prevented. It's a more important thing. They also assert that it should have been prevented. When I come from could to should, a concept called transdisciplinarity is brought up into picture. The United Nations Development Report 2015, in its October 2015 report, talks of a term called transdisciplinarity, wherein technology has to marry with the sociology or social sciences to be more relevant to the society. Mining ultimately is it's an activity in the service of the society. And therefore, the tribunal talks of that it should have been avoided. If it should have been prevented. Had this fall been prevented, 114 children would have been alive, who are, I think, buried alive at their grave. If you visit Wales, you'll find 114 graves in Aberfarm. And after some years after this disaster, Queen went and put a wreath on those graves. So these graves basically will tell you, these disasters will motivate you to do a serious research. And I would request all the research scholars to visit at least one major disaster in the area in which they are trying to research. If you do that, then let me submit that you will be so motivated, that you will be so serious and so sincere in coming out with your conclusions, so that no fatality occurs because of your conclusions. Being a research scholar, your conclusions can be taken to directly, and some of the technocrats have huge gain in terms of economy and in terms of technology, in terms of safety. These are the three things I think which must be bearing for you to do research. But at the same time, these days, environmental concerns and ecological sensitivity is also a value which must guide your basic, I'll say, works of research and agenda setting for your research. That's a very important thing to focus upon. I'll visit now an Indian mine that changed the coal mining for good. Before that mine, coal mines were defined as non-gassy mines or gassy mines. It took Dhori disaster. Dhori disaster took place in May 1965. Night of 27/28 May 1965, Dhori disaster took place. 268 people lost their lives. And it was a mixed explosion. It started with methane explosion and then got converted into coal dust explosion. So the shock wave that was created due to this mixed explosion was so huge that if you see the report of Court of Inquiry on Dhori disaster, you'll find that there was an electrical pole on the inclined mouth that was pushed to such an extent because of the shock wave that it became parallel to the ground. And a huge rock of some ton was thrown by a distance of 1 kilometer. So such was the intensity of the shock wave generated due to mixed explosion. And now let me submit. This Dhori disaster, it took Dhori disaster and the Court of Inquiry on it. The Court of Inquiry on Dhori disaster recommended that all the mines will be gassy thereafter. So gassiness of first degree, second degree, third degree was brought into coal mines regulations on the recommendations of Court of Inquiry of Dhori. So by visiting these three disasters, I am only trying to bring back a point that research into mining engineering is a conscious research to seek safety, to seek efficacy, to seek effectiveness of applied technology. And we are going to operate in a much challenged way in mining tomorrow. There are huge pressures on mining industry because of the NGOs who want to maintain good ecology and good environment, and they are rightly doing so. Most of the mining activity is nearing urban areas, and you blast, you produce, you earn, but the residents beside you are having their glasses broken, having their buildings broken. And as Venkatesh said that we blast and Jayantu supports, but in case of residents' buildings being cracked and broken, Jayantu will also not go there to repair it. That is the crisis. So, and therefore, society at large globally is becoming extremely intolerant and insensitive to mining activity as such. And therefore, as a researcher of mining engineering entering today in the research area, it is your responsibility to ensure that you are doing mining with least carbon footprint, because it is today important to serve sustainable development goals also at global level. So the society wants the mineral. A single computer uses 37 minerals, combination of 37 minerals. So they want the mineral, but they do not want the negative impacts of mining as such. But there will be negative impact. How to reduce that down is a challenging area for the researcher of today. So some of the areas I'm mentioning, I think I have 1 more minute, 45 होने से हमारा और वेंकटेश का दोनों का टाइम बराबर हो जाएगा. So in 1 more minute, I will say that the issues that your research problems should address today is how to handle the curse of natural resources. If you map the global areas, wherever mining is being done, natural resources is in abundance. But the people surrounding there are one of the poorest in those countries. If you say, take case of Congo, if you take case of blood diamond, if you take case of our Jharkhand, in most of the places where we are mineral rich, where we are natural resource rich, the people over there are quite poor and their per capita income is also not high. So how to ensure that they get benefited? how to close a mine in such a way that you do not get colonies like Kolar, that after when the mines are closed, we get ghost cities, we get lot of socio-economic problems. We got people are simply not able to survive in those cities where mining has been closed. So why not assimilate mining procedures right from planning stage in such a way that when mining activity goes away, the city is a vibrant city with something more parallel being done and making it relevant for perpetuity. So this I'll submit to the next lot of researchers who are going to don mining industries professionals tomorrow. Opportunities have already been covered. Most of them have been covered. My another senior, another national mineral awardee is going to back me up if I have left something. I would say conscious research is important. Unconscious research is being done by every individual every day. And then you have addressed the issue of curse of natural resources. And I think with this, if you have any query, I can elaborate. Otherwise, I would stick to discipline of Ramchandra. It's 46 rather. So I would like to stop. With all the best and best wishes to all my younger professional researchers. Please.
Thank you very much, sir. You are exactly in time. One or two questions, if anyone wants to ask, but not to Professor Jayant and Professor Dr. Venkatesh. Any one or two questions? If not, thank you very much, sir, for joining us. As a student of yours, I have that freedom to request.
Thank you, Ramchandra.
For my
it's my pleasure.
Teacher, right? Because we are, thank you very much, sir, for your valuable time. We'll move to the next speaker, Dr. Jayantu is already on live. He was there on yesterday's presentations also. Professor Jayantu doesn't need any introduction. He is a very well-known faculty researcher. In fact, I know him from my B.Tech days. He was my B.Tech guide also when he was in NIRM. He is graduated from same Osmania University, Kottagudem School of Mines in the year 1986. After working for a brief span in Singareni College Company Limited, he joined SIMFAR at that time, maybe CMRS at that time, or CMRI. Later he shifted to National Institute of Rock Mechanics. Then after meanwhile of his PhD from IIT BHU, he moved to NIT Roorkela as a professor, I think at a very young age. I don't want to read his full profile. He's worked a lot of projects on ground control. Recently he's working a lot on slope stability, even some projects on rock blasting. And he's one of the well-known teacher, researcher. And as I said, he is also a National Mineral Awardee. This is another distinction of 1986. Yes. This is also another distinction that both Dr. Venkatesh and Dr. Jayantu both are classmates and both are recipients of National Mineral Awardees. That is a rare distinction.
Voice is not clear, it seems.
My voice, sir?
Yeah. Now it is all right.
Yes.
So I shared my slide, you can see.
Yes. So with this brief introduction, may I request Professor Jayantu to make his presentation for 20 minutes.
Thank you very much, our beloved organizers. It is something like homecoming for me, and I was seeing all are our known people, juniors, seniors, colleagues, and few very seniors yesterday, including our beloved director of NIT, Suratkal. Without taking much time, I would like to, the topic given by our conveners is transdisciplinary, translational research and academics in mining. In fact, this topic I have not made specially for this. Already one webinar was conducted by Institution of Engineers and also our mining engineering department. of NIT Rourkela on urgent need of transdisciplinary and translational, that is industry-oriented research for sustainable mining only on 23rd. I just added something more so that it will be more related to academics and maybe useful for our next generation. Students, scholars, even I can take the liberty of taking the name of our premier research institutions. The reason is I was a part of it, whether it is CSIR, rightly said by our Ramchandra, it is CMRS at that time, later CMRI, then now CSIR Simfer, and our NIRM, already our Venkatesh and Sharma, they told many things. I would like to just say something based on my experiences. But here I want to dedicate, there is some reason why I am dedicating this to our parents and our guides, from whom we learn. And when you learn rightly, and when you have good experiences, then we can pass on to the next generation. It is something like knowledge should flow like a river water, and it should not be stored like a pond water. But whatever knowledge, whatever the stored or learned, if it is through right guides at right time, then that will be more useful for our next generations. In line with when it comes to our research field, I take it as a privilege. As a president of CSIR, our Honorable Prime Minister with Atmanirbhar Bharat, he mentioned nicely there is one vision and mission document in CSIR. It was mentioned about the transdisciplinary industry-oriented research issues. That is one of the inspiration. That's what I would like to say. CSIR vision and mission, including our senior Professor K.M. Rao, we used to call Uma, including inaugural address by our Honorable Director of NIT Karnataka yesterday. 3 important issues he raised, and just I tried to see something more because our seniors, as our Sharma said just now, so they will be giving some more insight or helping somewhere, because at that time ragging was not banned. That is also one of the good experiences where we learn more, but don't do it now. That is in a truth, don't quote it anywhere. Now, I see with my experiences, very little experiences of around 3.5 decades, with 2 decades as a scientist in CSIR and Ministry of Mines, both working in different disciplinary areas. I consider, and of course about 1.5 decades as a HOD and then professor in NIT Rourkela. Academics and research I consider as 2 sides of a coin. While searching, my daughter helped me, who is a very good researcher in Center of Excellence in Artificial Intelligence. She helped me to collect our Indian coins only. She might have not seen some of the coins here. Now, third eye, what is supposed to be opened, like Lord Shiva to open is, but that is only possible. Now you can see our Einstein, it was quoted by our beloved director of NIT Suratkal yesterday in a beautiful inaugural address. But this is all possible only with proper understanding of the problem. That's I reiterate, re-advocate, re-emphasize all the time, not only now in many international and national forums, with also my students and scholars and junior faculties and junior scientists. Whether mining or anything in the world, this is very much required to understand and open the third eye other than just research and academics, that industry. And as our Sharma said rightly, this transdisciplinarity. So all those things I try to collect so much. Already one more thing is we as a mining engineers work with more and more safety factor, and I sent this to our Ramchandra, not only PPT, also my voice, what I recorded, so that in case of any problem of our net connectivity or any problem with the power, then we have some safety factor. You know very well, safety factor of 10 is there for the ropes, where I was also working in different areas. So those things are known and it is displayed, it is available in the websites and profile. I don't want to go into that. But here I would like to emphasize for our next generations of faculty, scholars, including next generation scientists to solve the problems. The world has so many problems, but universities and institutes have some departments, okay? Then our NIT Rourkela as a part of India, where I belong to now at present, in Odisha state is a mineral rich, one of the mineral rich states in India. It also has 20 departments. So from the day one, when I came as a head of the department and professor in 2006, and also as a member of our Odisha State Pollution Control Board and other board, so many board members, with over 1 century of the projects throughout India in different areas, those are available that we go. But ultimately, unless we understand the problems and unless we integrate with the proper leadership, whether it is in any type of institutions, organizations, that is not possible. We may be solving like a piecemeal job, but it cannot be a holistic approach. That is very much required. That's the reason why I have given the topic title with transdisciplinary, translational, that I will explain later. So that is more related to your health issues, your pharmaceutical, whatever, they used it. And this is, and again, Albert Einstein, look deep into nature and you will understand everything better. Now, that nature and understanding is only the source of knowledge, and that source of knowledge is experience. So how much we are utilizing for the next generation, that is the reason why I kept in the beginning dedication. Unless you can appreciate what was done by our predecessors and what is to be done by now, then with all this knowledge, we can guide the next generations. That is the reason why you see with a folded hands, our Einstein is looking forward, one of the famous scientists of the world. Education is what remains after one has forgotten. What one has learned in school, Albert Einstein quotes, education, learn from yesterday, live for today, hope for tomorrow. The important thing is not to stop questioning. So I wish those people having this idea of burning desire, as our honorable former late Abdul Kalam Saab used to say, burning desire with high goal, those people only should, or they have, even sky is also not the limit, as our Dr. Smith in the first lecture, he told that is not the limit. And I also told at that time, 10 years back, one of my computer science student wanted to do on moon mining. My B.Tech mining student did some project works on wireless sensor networks. And those things I will tell you, depending on the time and all. With this background, I kept this outline, as since the topic is given to me by, with a great pleasure, I say, in Telugu we say, Guruvulu Minchina Shishulu. That we feel very happy when our children, they surpass us and do great things. So this is something like that. That tradition should be followed in mythology, whatever it is, Gita or wherever. Sharma can say better. If somebody asks a question on my behalf, he can answer, no problem. Transdisciplinary research and translatory research, these issues should be very clear. But I will not take that much time, Ramchandar, because Ramayana can be told within 2 minutes. Otherwise, 2 hours is also not sufficient, or 2 months is also insufficient for that. So I will limit into that only. Don't worry. Already I sent all these PPTs and everything to you. In case of any problem in the connectivity, you will be taking care of it. Even you can play my voice also in that. Now, ultimately the objective will be stability, safety, and sustainability. 3 S. 3S is not standing for Singham, Sai, Srija or anything, right? Then I added H because of our COVID-19, which has disturbed everything in the world. And I feel very pathetic that at that time, even I used to send some mails to our Honorable Prime Minister of India to close down specially underground mines as a responsible citizen or a mining engineer. And we lost so many lives with COVID-19. Reasons I want to say in many mines. So that's why I wanted to propagate this idea of including translational research. Unless there is a good health, there is no point in doing any research, any industry or any academics, whatever it is. So this is the theme I wanted to explain further. Then institute and industry interaction, 3 I's, Vishnu, Brahma, Maheshwara, like for everything it is required in the holistic world. And that is possible only with transdisciplinary, translational. There I coined it as a industry-oriented research and academics, that issue. Depending on the time, of course, I would like to say, because the purpose of this talk, if it is useful to ignite some of my next generation minds of our scholars, students, or next generation scientists, then I feel very happy. Even if they, by their research, if they can save at least one life, life is invaluable. So that I used to explain in different forums, national, international, highest academies, anywhere. But very few people can understand that. That requires a lot of experience also, of course. Then there I would like to give some ideas may be useful for the next generation, and especially at present for our ministry call and ministry minds, with my experience of conducting so many studies in the transdisciplinary areas, that may help some people. And then role of different departments in that, then of course underground and open cast with some of my beloved transdisciplinary research team throughout India and some from other countries also like Singapore and other places. So in that way, I keep this purpose of this talk is to create awareness among our students, scholars, including some faculty and junior scientists in the areas of transdisciplinary research and academics, and ultimately its application for industries. And I feel very happy if it benefits our audience with they can apply for the mining industries, their knowledge of electronics, computer science, whatever it is. I don't want to become expert in electronics or computer science, but I can guide the people where their knowledge can be utilized for solving some of the problems which cannot be solved as a mining engineer by me. So that's what I initiated as a part of my career plan with 2 years as industry experience, so that I could try to understand some problems. Later, with about 2 decades in the primary research institutions as a scientist, try to solve some problems and to give that knowledge, flow that knowledge to our next generations. And if some of this is useful to give some proper proposals for our call and ministry minds, whatever it is, DST and other, then I consider it as more useful. But especially I have seen so many students, there are so many scholars, faculty are there. They have been writing to me and then talking to me. They are there in this. And some people, they don't know what is underground mine, what is open cast mine, what type of problem. Here, just 1-2 minutes only, I will show. This is one of the Ministry of Coal project when I was a scientist. Some are as an academician and some are as a scientist in ministry, mines, NARM and CMRS. We have so many things for the benefit of our next generations. I used to keep some videos also. This is one of the typical mine in RK8 incline. You may not be able to hear the voice, I don't know. But this shows the conditions my transdisciplinary team should understand how an underground mine appears. This is the instrumentation. And this is one of the prestigious projects where nowhere in the world till now 3 seams were simultaneously extracted. That was done by us, and that is 3, 4, and 5 seams. This is number 3. And like that, there are some experimental trials, and that's where I used to advocate, re-emphasize all the time that our people should be acceptable by the industry to solve the problems. So I feel very proud to say, bring to everybody that whenever there are some disasters, and even the biggest disaster like Rajmal, I was there a day just after with my Ph.D. scholars who are working from electronics, computer science, so that they can utilize some of their knowledge. And those things, I can give n number of examples with my experiences of these projects with ministry call, ministry minds in different areas. I can say, but I will not show all this video. This is the situations, how it will be. Now you can see here. This is the system of monitoring, right? Now here I want to draw the attention of below the transdisciplinary group from computer science, electronics, other people. Now I want some instrumentation with wireless sensor network, and later the data analysis, big data, artificial intelligence, artificial neural network, so many things like that. So here you can see one some typical situations where our conventional instrument doesn't work. That is the reason why, since my days in 2006, this is a career plan I made so that our knowledge should be useful for next generations. And I started involving all the groups, civil, mechanical. This shows a very typical situation now as a electronics, computer science, electrical, mechanical, whatever is called participating in this IT. Now, I want to know what is happening here. I cannot do with conventional instruments, whatever. I did it so many number of projects with even including some computer science and other people. Now you can see here, you need not get surprised. I used to tell even in 1989 when I was a scientist in CSIR with a great collar like this that I am a scientist. But later I realized all are scientists throughout their life till the last breath. And only scientists have the permission to do nonsense things and develop new science. So don't go anywhere. This is very good because I consider everybody here, more than 50%, 60% are all our known people, and some of these may be useful for our next generations. So that these are some typical issues that is undergone mine. And similarly, some open cast mine. This is another mine that was a Singareni mine in 2000 that time, where nowhere in the world that 3 seams were extracted. The situations and all, we need to do some more research also. Of course, like that, there are so many issues. And now, here you can see just yeah, here you can see open cast. Only just 1 minute I will show, not more than that.
Sir, your voice is not.
I'm going into that. I think it was muted. It is. This is from my side.
Yes.
It is all right.
Yes, yes. Now it's okay, sir.
If there is any problem, let me know.
Yes, yes.
I'm making it full screen.
Now it's okay, sir. Now it's okay.
Yes.
No, voice is not coming, sir, again. Voice is not clear.
Yes. Now I think it is clear.
Yes, yes, sir.
Nice, nice. Thank you. So these are the situations which we are supposed to deal with, and unless you go and understand, as our beloved director of NIT Surathkal yesterday emphasizing, re-emphasizing many times with 3 important points. Now you can see this is a place where when there was a failure, we were called and we were doing some investigations from NIT Rourkela, and like that now at present I have more than a dozen projects with the industry. Although I used to tell हम बुढ़ा हो गया अभी project नहीं करेंगे, still I have this many number of projects. I wish that our next generations, especially with an interest, with a burning desire to solve the problems, they should come up, and we are there to guide them, of course, based on that. So here there was some failures, and that failure you can see here. Yes. So on the surface, then we used to redesign this. Now this much only, just now I am showing as far as this video. You can see this is the failure of that slopes where we are doing our investigations.
Jayanta sir, yes. Your screen is not visible.
Oh, achha. Again, screen sharing.
Yeah. I try to conclude in 2 minutes, sir.
Yes, no problem. Yes. Now is the screen visible?
Not yet, sir.
Now?
Yes, it's coming.
Yeah, very good. So in fact, just yes. I wanted to give a lot of information, very different this one. Let me just scan through very fast.
Yes.
Giving mainly in the academics, there are some food for thought I try to give, where in the industry that acceptability is very important, and our probable solution may be application of this translational research. That's what I want to say as a part of whether it is a B.Tech or M.Tech, Ph.D, postdoc or DSc, what type of projects it may be, and with a vision and mission of CSR as far as research in India is concerned, with our President of CSR, Honorable Narendra Modi ji, and Atmanirbhar Bharat, and sustainability and all, I need not tell much, but I have my own perception. Sustainability means relation of mother and baby like earth and our public, where while milking both are happy, but here it is $1 billion question. And there our UN agenda is also there on sustainability, and my journey of multi-institutional sustainability research I can give from 86, where I was involved with CMRI scientists, and then later with CMRS, CMRI, and then NIRM, then in NIT, covering more than 100 projects with 11 projects ongoing. And I can invite interested students may participate in my projects. In these areas, it is there. And anyway, this PPT will be shared by our Ramchandar convener to anybody. There is no limit for that. Then my journey, and presently with electronics, computer science students, we have been doing it. And here I am skipping this, but ultimately many people may ask regarding transdisciplinary research. That's why I just wanted to show 1-2 slides. There, translational, there are so many transdisciplinary, transformational, which should be very clear, especially for the policymakers and all, where otherwise people are using only interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary words. Multidisciplinary works like this, and interdisciplinary works like this, but transdisciplinary and transcendental research works like this and this. This is what I wanted to highlight, and that's why I propagate this idea of transdisciplinary, translational, industry-oriented research and academics, and where I would like to just stick to my areas where I try to contribute from the day, and giving, since our Manoj Khandelwal is here, I am very happy to see him after a long time. I was there with him at IIT Mumbai sometime, where in Australia they were started Translation Research Institute. This is required, and from the day one, I involved our transdisciplinary groups, electronics, computer science, in our NIT Rourkela in my projects, which I told you already, a dozen projects still I am having, where I give free boarding, free lodging, and free transport to all the groups. That's why I have so many people as co-guides and in my co-investigators in my projects from different disciplines, not only from NIT, and these are from my scholars who are already completed their PhDs working in different transdisciplinary groups. I re-emphasize again, it is not only developing design and just implementation, but it is acceptability that is very much required. That's what I kept in the food for thought, including the latest technologies, unless you understand properly. And you see, and the next day of this disaster, I was there with my 2 PhD scholars. And this is what just I would like to, with a transdisciplinary group of computer science, other people, what are required. And simple example I would like to say, taking my student in 3rd year, he asked me, sir, I want to do in wireless sensor network. I sent him to one of the mines where we were doing investigations along with one IIT professor. Then he now did later M.Tech from IIT somewhere, and then PhD somewhere else in electronics, computer science. This is the way. And coming to the acceptability, I feel very proud to say that our chairman, Coal India and CMDs, DGMS, Sibal Saab, Narsimha Saab, everybody was here training as a requirement at that time, as a 10th conference of safety in the strata control. We were a part of formulating that circular along with our Lakshminarayana, beloved Lakshminarayana, where we worked with other NIT directors in like Professor Y.V. Rao sir and other people, DGMS people and other directors, deputy director generals, DGs, in conducting so many courses. And we took them to the industries. And that is what is required, what I can suppose. This is the way even I conducted even slope stability issues in open cast mining, civil engineering, different branches. You can see different people from different DGs and even MECL, other people, our department, laboratory facilities. Here we have one of our best friend, senior PM Prasad is also here. He is a CMD, and at that time he was executive director with us. And there are so many areas, I don't want to say this is available. And I wish that these are some areas which are kept in the color, are the areas where I could contribute something with my little 3.5 decades, out of which 20 years as a scientist and completing more than 100 projects throughout India and different areas. So these are for the Ministry of Coal and Ministry of Mines recent issues, including artificial intelligence, then so many issues which were kept here as a part of our agenda, which is there. Along with that, I have a good word to say, where Prime Minister of India, our beloved President of CSIR, also with Atmanirbhar Bharat, through innovation and indigenization, that is very much required. That is possible only. That's what I have been re-advocating again and again. And I take the name of, since I am there in Odisha now, name of our Honorable Chief Minister, who recently started Center of Excellence. Okay, Ramchandra, I will be stopping within a minute. Okay, don't worry. Now, this is a indigenous development of IIT-enabled technologies. We have been involved with Center of Excellence in Odisha under the these schemes. Our team is there, machine learning and other. This is what just I wanted to show you in different departments. I can tell depending and on the interest. And one more thing is, nobody can teach anybody. That's what I used to tell, unless anybody is interested to learn. Okay, so that's why I am very sure those who are interested to learn, they will definitely interact with me. And already we are doing so many projects. Already I told you in underground and all. There are so many areas. This is just 30 seconds, Ramchandar. We will close it.
Yes, sir.
Now, you see, these are typical situations. Here I would like to reiterate with very confessing the limitations of our science. That's why we say still it is an art where we should contribute as a transdisciplinary, electronics, computer science, all those. These are the areas. Now you should come out taking this as a $1 billion question, wireless sensor networks, minor safety, monitoring equipment, health monitoring, and even metallurgy, machinery, instrumentation. And there are some scope for the research for slope stability. There are disasters where we were there. I took along with me when there is a NDRF team and rescue teams asked us. Then you can see here, I would like to appreciate, tell you that unless our knowledge and whatever experience is useful to solve their problem at that time, that will be useless, right? So here, one first-class manager was kept just to observe immediately after the disaster, where now you are seeing these photographs not taken from anybody from my camera, right? So where dead bodies are there. Now my people as a first-class manager in every ship was going there to observe, and he is going to the dangerous place. At that time, I interacted with the world over scientists and other people. I was given that responsibility sometime, and the result is zero. And ultimately, just to monitor this crack, I kept one this remote monitoring instrument. That is wireless sensor network was not there at that time. Just we used remote monitoring like LVDT and other things with my 2 PhD scholars from computer science and electronics staying there for 2 months. So this is the interest I want in our next generations. Then only we can make them, and more fruitful research can be done. That will be useful and in line with our, I can say, Atmanirbhar Bharat, but not local, up to the global, since there are people from other countries also involved. We can help and we can get help, where I have interaction with international arbitration cases also, where Professor S.S. Peng and Fairhash were there to counteract with our knowledge or our reports on specific disasters. I can give a number of examples. With waste management, you can see I'm coming to the last. Even electrical engineers, they did on power quality improvement. Ramchandra, I am coming to the end. Okay. Now, and these are the areas. Vehicle health monitoring, we can do a lot of things, my dear mechanical engineers, electronics engineers, instrumentation engineers, energy analysis, proximity detection, although our Chowli and other people, L.K. Bandapati was colleagues, they used to do something, but it requires a lot of, there are so many action plans. We can make collaborative team, future scope, but ultimately as a mining engineer, I should not tell, but I will tell that in future, if it is feasible, we should stop coal production just for thermal energy. We should go for this underground coal gasification, where some of our best friends, Dr. Lakshman from Australia and Uday from Sweden, those who are closely associated with us through different, as a chief editor of Indian Mining and Engineering Journal and other means, they have been associated with us. And ultimately, the last conclusion I would like to say that these transdisciplinary teams, those who are interested, they can come and work in our projects. Already I told you more than 11 projects ongoing now. And from NIT Srinagar to other places, they have done projects from computer science, electronics with us in my department with me. And then let us form as a result. Now Ramchandra and Manoj Khandelwal to be more attentive in this last point, Ramchandra. As an outcome of this webinar, we should form a team and let us have this type of transdisciplinary group from different countries, already you identified. I appreciate the attempt. Not only now, since the days when Ramchandra was doing his B.Tech project, he has done the best B.Tech project in Osmania University at that time. And if I remember correctly, he was doing nicely on RMR and developed some model, something like that. Okay, right. So for next generations, it will be benefited by our whatever experiences. So this is what just I wanted to convey. All the best. Any queries, you can email me, sjanthu@gmail and WhatsApp, and you can talk to me, but not between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. Other timings free, and 9938303259. Now, abhi dukan band kar diya from my side. Okay, Ramchandra.
Thank you, Professor Jayanthu sir, for your speaking from your vast experience. I know you can talk hours together, but we have come to an end almost. We are going to the last speaker. Dr. Mohan is online already. Mohan, you are there? Mohan?
Yes, I think he is already online.
Yeah, he is there. Yes, Professor Mohan.
Yes, I am here.
Yes, I am seeing. Professor Mohan, if you don't mind what I do, because we have put you in valedictory function as one of the guests, I will give more detailed introduction because director is calling me, wanted to join soon. Can you go ahead with your presentation if you do not mind? Then I will introduce you in valedictory because more guests are joining at that time. Mohan is very well known, is faculty in more prestigious Monash University in Melbourne. I will give more details to the students in valedictory. Can you please start your presentation? Around 11:35 and between 11:35 and 11:40 we will start valedictory. Till that time you can speak.
So what's the time now?
Here it is 11:21. You have around 18 to 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's enough because most speakers spoke already what I wanted to. But so I just only want to give them some tips as to how
I think
they
one
can
light
become successful.
is reflecting on your face.
Sorry?
Some light is reflecting on your face.
Oh, is it? Okay, let me give me a second in that case. I will. Ramchandra, is that any better now?
Yes.
Is that any better?
Some small spark, but it's okay. Okay, you can proceed.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ramchandra, for the opportunity. I really appreciate. And yeah, it's a great way to interact with some of the young and bright minds, because those people who have made it into NITs and IITs, that itself testifies how bright they are, because the rigorous process that they go through to get into these premier institutions of India. So my name is Mohan Yalishati, and I am Associate Professor in the Department of Civil Engineering at Monash University. On a lighter side, I always tell, whenever I start my talk, Monash and Mohan has very close relationship, because when you change the order of the letters in Monash, it becomes Mohans. So that's where I belong to this university. So what I'm going to talk today to you is about how you can make your, for example, if you've got some plans to come to Australia, what are the ways and means that you can get here? And I just want to highlight the recent meeting, the virtual summit that was held between the Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Morrison of Australia. This one of the several areas that they identified where there's a mutual interest between Australia and India is education, culture, tourism, and people-to-people ties. Because both of us are Commonwealth countries, and both of us are cricketing nations, and there are a number of those similarities. And education is one of the underpinning reasons and one of the important reasons how these two countries can be connected. And education has been identified. Education research skills are central component of these relationships as identified by the two prime ministers. And there have been a number of MOUs that have been signed between the countries, and education is one of the short sector because India has a huge population and Australia has sparsely populated. That means its industry requires a lot of skilled human resources, and that's where they come to countries like India to recruit number of people, including the mining industry. So what I'll walk you through today is just a brief about Australia for those who do not have an idea. So Australia is essentially 6 states and 2 territories. So we got Western Australia, which is heavily dependent on mining. And if you look at the GDP of Australia, the Western Australia, Queensland, and New South Wales are predominantly mining dependent economies. And there are about 41 universities, and out of which 38 are public universities and others are private universities. And they offer bachelor's, master's, and PhD programs. And there are also a number of TAFE level universities which also have a number of other programs. So Monash University is in the world's most livable city, which is Melbourne, which is in Victoria. So why Australia? Because you've been hearing to a number of people from different continents. I must appreciate the efforts Dr. Ramchandra Kara has made to bring so many distinguished members of international community to one single platform to share their thoughts. And it's from a student's perspective, I think, if you read between the lines, this has got immense potential and value to you as your careers, because you're trying to make your careers into higher education and also into the industry, both in India and also overseas. So it's up to you to make use of this opportunity. See, teachers can only do something, like you can only take horse to water, but you can't force it to drink water. So rest of all depends on how you take this opportunity and convert that into a real tangible outcomes for individual students. So mining is one of the major industries in Australia. Again, mining goes through a bit of cyclic modes, as we all know. And in a time of boom, typically 12% of GDP comes out of mining in Australia. And in a time of bust cycles, you got about minimum 7%. That means it's a major industry employing nearly 200 to 250,000 people in Australia. It's a big industry by far. Of course, there are services and other industries are picking up. And Australia also is a very well-regulated and resilient economy. Even when the rest of the world was facing global financial crisis, Australia was quite resilient. So that's why it's very well-regulated. And Australian degrees are well recognized, and there is a good reputation to a number of university degrees that Australia offers. And most importantly, for the students who are trying to make their entry into Australia, most universities offer a very competitive scholarship program. And again, scholarship, by virtue of the very definition of scholarship, is you are to be a scholar. You need to demonstrate that by way of your ranking, your number of awards that you receive during your undergraduate programs, and the number of papers that you publish. So you ought to be more proactive in order to be able to place yourself in an international level playing field. Because Australia receives nearly students from about 150 countries. That means you ought to be really best of best from each country that you represent. So if you are coming from India, you ought to be really competing with students coming from Korea, from Japan, from Iran, from Sri Lanka, number of those countries, including China, Iran. So a lot of students comes with a number of those publications and so on. And we also have got a very vibrant multicultural society, and the Indian population is growing. And as you will see that both prime ministers have agreed that people-to-people contact is the key. And that is one of the underpinning reasons for successful collaboration between two countries. So I can only imagine there are more and more opportunities coming in your way. So you need to be prepared to be able to make best use of those opportunities. And there's also a very competitive skills migration program. In fact, Australian migration program is one of the world leading programs, which other countries are also trying to emulate, including the United States of late. So, number of Australian universities are highly ranked. For example, if you're looking at QS top 200 world universities, there are a number of Australian universities which are by world standard, they make their way into this top 200 universities. So when you're talking of university rankings, research is one of the underpinning characteristics that makes a particular university to be ranked quite highly. And of course, the teaching, research-led teaching also plays an important role in that process. So there are, similar to Ivy League in the US, those people who are looking to get into some top-notch universities. So we have something called Group of 8 universities, which are the University of Western Australia, Monash University, that's where I work. And we got Australian National University, which is in Canberra, and the University of Adelaide, which is in Adelaide, and the Melbourne University, which is in Melbourne again, University of New South Wales. Dr. Simit Kumar Raval spoke to you this morning, so he represents UNSW, and the University of Queensland and the University of Sydney. So it doesn't really matter as to what degree that you do at undergraduate level, but what universities are looking is what is your appetite for research. As long as you've got good appetite and a good work ethic, and you've got good accomplishments during your undergraduate program, so you can make your way into any of these top-notch universities to pursue, whether it is master's by research, or PhD programs. So yeah, the opportunities are plenty. So you have to make best use of this opportunity and try to be best of best students so that you get into these universities with a scholarship. Otherwise, you'll have to pay a lot of tuition and a lot of your own money. And where do we start? How do we get started whenever we want to make our international dream come true? For example, if you want to study overseas and work in countries like the US, Canada, Australia, or the UK, or any other country for that matter. So what you do is you choose a program and you choose a country first. First of all, whether you want to go to Australia, or USA, Canada, UK, and New Zealand. In fact, I was listening to Professor Rajiv Ganguly, and he was saying that in the US is about $20 trillion economy, and mining is only 1% of the GDP. Of course, by that measure, perhaps when in real dollar terms, if you compare, it must be equivalent to what we sort of in Australia. But in Australia, as I said, mining accounts for about 10% of its GDP, which is a very significant industry. And there are plenty of mineral potential in Australia. So now we are moving gradually from coal to metalliferous and metal mining and metals and so on and so forth. And decide on a course of study and the university, whether it was MS or PhD, likewise, and then check entry requirements for the course and also visa requirements. For example, your CGPA is very important if you want to get a scholarship. And if you rank in your class, if you are number 1 or number 2, and if you receive some awards like gold medal or silver medals, they all count towards your ranking. And then that ranking will make you eligible to receive certain scholarships. So what I'm trying to give you is a bit of heads up so that you think through, yes, in order for you to be able to make into these top universities with competitive scholarships program, which have got very competitive scholarship programs. And by the way, let me also tell you that Australian universities are looking more towards Indian students. So you're in the right spot, but what you need to do is you need to do that extra mile of walk so that you are eligible for some of these scholarships. And apply for the course and contact the university for admissions team, and then apply for visa and plan your travel. So that's a typical to-do list to be able to start your journey. But it's very important that you get the things right in the first go. And if you want to get into research, what you need to do, of course, whether it is research or research by master's by research, you start with your statement of purpose, which is exactly what you want to do, where you want to be seeing yourself in next 5 years and 10 years, and what are your career aspirations, and whether you want to get into industry. So it's about telling about yourself, your interests, and how that aligns with the course attributes, so to say. And you need to have a good CV. So there are a lot of avenues online. My time is very different to your time, because our time, everything was paper-based. Now everything is at the tip of your fingertips. So you need to make best use of some of these opportunities, make good CVs, and have 2 good reference letters, work experience documents. And you need to have English language proficiency tests undertaken, similar to IELTS or TOEFL. And of course, you need to have a passport to be able to make your journey to any overseas education providers. So I also want to give you a quick, of course, I'm not an expert in these, but what I wanted, when I want to talk about education opportunities in Australia, I need to also give you some indication as to how much it is going to cost you. Of course, tuition is different to what I'm saying, your living expenses. So these are some estimates that I found online when I did a bit of research. So according to number of students, these gives you some kind of indicative requirement of how much you need to be able to make up to live in any of the cities in Australia. And if you look at Australia, it's almost the coastal. All the cities are near to the coast. For example, Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Adelaide, and Perth, and also, of course, Darwin and in Tasmania and Hobart. So all of them have got pretty much plus or minus 10% variation, but those are some of the indicative figures that you should be looking at. And now that, because I work at Monash, so I need to also talk about my own university, because that gives me my bread and butter. It's a global university, G08 Alliance, and largest university in Australia in terms of student numbers. And we are top 1% of the world universities, quite highly ranked for our research excellence and also education excellence. So yeah, we've got 4 campuses in Australia. We've got campus in Malaysia, which is Sunway campus, and we have a campus in Italy, and we have a very big building, beautiful building at IIT Bombay in Mumbai. And we've got a number of those alliances with Warwick University and Penn State in the US and MIT. Those connections are great. I think Ramchandra is back, so should I stop there? Or?
Yeah, you can just conclude in 1 or 2.
Yeah, so I'll take maybe a couple of more minutes, because I spoke to them about most of it, what I wanted to, but I'm just trying to tell my own university.
No, I'm there live, just.
Yeah, so it's the largest university in terms of, and again, you can see that our student ratio is 62% domestic to 38% international, which is likely to change due to the COVID pandemic. And currently, like any other university around the world, our university also has to undergo a lot of changes because of travel restrictions and travel bans and so on. Yeah, so there are a number of different ranking bodies. So, but on whatever metric that you use, we rank in top 100 universities for our own, which testifies the quality of research and the teaching that is undertaken at this university. And as far as Faculty of Engineering is concerned, I think perhaps this is still the case. We are number 1 Faculty of Engineering and Technology in the country. And we've got so many students. And of course, we are also operating a full-fledged campus in Malaysia. And we also got a campus in China, India. So it's growing. Faculty and discipline rankings, yes, mining has now gone up to, I think, 7 this year under as far as QS ranking is concerned. So the number of those rankings put us in a good stead in terms of on a world stage. Yeah, so as you can see now, one of the distinguishing feature of Monash is it's a research university. So that means our PhDs, for example, in my own department, perhaps we would have about 180 to 200 PhD students. And I have in my own group, I've got 5 or 6 students. Yeah, world-class engineering facilities, virtual labs, like for example, we got virtual, the cave, which is immersive visualization platform where pretty much, we show mines because Victoria do not have many mines compared to New South Wales or Queensland or WA. So this is where we take our students into, and then they see the mines live. So that's what. Yeah, so some of the state-of-art facilities at the university. In fact, Dr. Ramchandar visited Monash in 2014 or 15?
14.
Yeah, 14. In fact, you have a very dynamic head of the department. I must compliment. He really strives very hard to establish all those global network of contacts, which are very useful, of course, not for him, but for his students. That's our Sunway campus, which is, by the way, because you are mining engineers, I must tell you, this was one of the old tin mines in tin mining area where now Monash University has been constructed or operating from. So a mine can be converted into a beautiful, picturesque landscape like a university. So that's one of the research Ramchandra and myself are currently involved with, and we are trying to do some good outcomes out of some of mine rehabilitation and so on and so forth. So we've got 5 departments and 11 specializations, and we sit within the civil engineering, but ours is resources engineering. So now onwards, we are going to offer the minors into various engineering programs, although we don't have any resources engineering per se. Yeah, these are some entry requirements and fees, which I will share with Dr. Ramchandar after my presentation. But I think, so some useful resources also I have provided so that you can explore at your own leisure in terms of, if you want to really make your way into Australia. Because I can tell you Australia is a beautiful country and it has beautiful weather. And I think now they are looking towards India as a major trading partner and also the education partner. So I think that's where I'll stop. And thank you, Ramchandar, for the opportunity once again. And,
thanks a lot, Mohan. Thank you very much. Already our director has joined online and the Dean of Federation University Australia also has joined, and our Dean RNC also joined. We'll start the valedictory function because as per IST time, 12:30, this link will end. We should close by that time. Dr. Manoj, can you start the valedictory formal invitation?
Yep. Thanks, Dr. Ramchandar. A very warm good morning and good afternoon to galaxy of intellectuals, distinguished professors and researchers, and the student attendees. About various opportunities in education and research in mining and allied engineering streams. I hope you all would have learned about new innovations being practiced in mining and allied engineering. As a professional, a mining engineer is concerned with the safe, economic, and environmentally responsible recovery, processing, marketing, and financial management of minerals resources to meet the ever expanding demand from the global community for mineral commodities. Here, I would like to emphasize that a number of other industries like metallurgy, processing, etc., are completely dependent on mining. However, the challenges facing the sector are likely to increase significantly in the near future due to many issues such as mines becoming deeper, lower mineral grades, increasing environmental restrictions, and mines moving offshore. But I am very much confident to say that the future of mining and associated disciplines are bright because it is impossible to consider an advanced global society that is not dependent on mining and farming, as these two are the oldest professions since the evolution of mankind, and due to this, minerals related professionals will remain relevant for the near future, unlike many other careers that are becoming redundant due to advances in technology. With these brief remarks, now I would like to introduce guest of today's valedictory function. We are delighted to have Professor K.U.M. Rao, Director, NIT Karnataka, with us as the president of today's valedictory function. I would like to welcome Professor Syed Islam, Dean, School of Engineering, IT and Physical Sciences, Federation University, Australia, as the honorable chief guest of today's function. We also have Professor Shri would request Professor Ramchandra to progress this valedictory function. Thanks.
Thanks, Dr. Manoj. And NIT strictly follows the tradition of guest is first. So I will start with Dr. Mohan. Dr. Mohan has just spoke technically. So we have put him as a guest. That's what I have not introduced at that time. Dr. Mohan has graduated from Osmania University in mining engineering, and he holds a PG diploma in environmental and a graduate certificate holder in academic practice from Monash University. His main areas of research are mine rehabilitation and closure, sustainability framework, and industrial ecology, critical and strategic mineral supply, resources and environmental geotechnical engineering. He is honorary fellow of China University of Mining and Technology, International Advisory Board of Governing Council of Amity University in India. He has a wide network and he is on the editorial board of International Journal of Surface Mining and Reclamation and many other journals. He developed a very wide network. Recently, he formed a consortia consisting of 14 institutes with many NITs and more IITs. The IIT Bombay, IIT Madras, IIT Gauhati, IIT Kharagpur, IIT Indore, and NIT Surathkal. I am proud to say that I am part of that. And NIT Roorkela, Nalanda University. So with 14 universities, we have formed a consortia. Actually, every Saturday, we will meet at 1 p.m. That's what he is telling me, texting me, can I leave at 1 o'clock? So he is such a great collaborator. And he asked me, why don't you visit? He has been telling me visit. So way back 2014, I visited. He arranged my visit. I gave some lectures there, but only unfortunately something is, it is a good or bad, I am not sure. Monash and IITB is a very successful collaborative IITB Monash scheme. So under that, we cannot sign another MOU with Monash, but we are actively taking up some collaborative research project. Already we have submitted a proposal to Ministry of Mines. Ministry of Mines, Government of India has asked, in fact, Mohan, Secretary of Mines has requested Mohan to develop a framework about the abandoned mines in India. So we are taking up this as a long-term project as almost 20 collaborators from 14 or 15 institutes where Mohan is heading this team. And every Saturday we will be meeting online. With this brief introduction, Dr. Mohan, I request you to speak a few words.
Yeah, again, Dr. Ramchandra, and also I need to acknowledge the director of NIT Surathkal, Professor Rao, and also the Dean of Faculty of Engineering, Federation University, Professor Islam, and also other distinguished members who are part of this valedictory function. And of course, my own colleague and best friend, Dr. Manoj Khandelwal at Federation University. So, yeah, I think my I've got a couple of tips that I want to give students, because this is mainly to help them prosper in their future careers. So a couple of takeaways from my side to students is always try to set up very high personal and academic standards for yourself. That is very, very important. Of course, setting up standards is just not enough, but also you must live up to them. And the world that we live in is very different to the world that we lived in my time when I was at university. So now there's so much of information, which is at times very confusing. So you must choose what is most appropriate and very important information that you should use. And when I say set high personal ambitions, academically, you must always score high CGPA. And I must tell you, because I'm coming from one of the Australia's largest universities and one of the top ranking universities. So whenever we rank Indian students for any scholarships, we go by the Ministry of Education's National Institutional Ranking Framework. Good aspect is your professors have done enough to keep the NIT Suratkal's flag very high, and your university ranks 14 in the country, which is thumbs up.
13, Mohan.
Yeah. So I think that's incredible. So that means whenever any application comes, so we look up on you as a potential candidate. But that's not enough. University ranking is not enough for you to be competitive when it comes to making an entry with a scholarship into top universities. You also need to score very high CGPA. Do you have relative terms or absolute terms?
Relative grading.
Yeah. So relative grading is a bit, but absolute grading, even in relative grading, for example, if you are in top 1 or 2 or 3 ranks, I think you will be highly preferable. And also try to get some medals and awards. That is very, very important aspect as far as your career is concerned. And the second thing that I see, because I'm from Indian education system, much of my education occurred in India, and also when I came here. And one subtle difference that I see is, for example, when I used to have my final year project students, I can send this to Dr. Ramchandra Kara after this meeting, some of the reports that are written and the level of the ownership that students take here is by far way too high compared to what our students take in India. You must take, driver's seat and driving your own research. And you should really, in fact, I think one of your own students came to me to do an internship, and I showed him some of the undergraduate students' thesis work. It's really amazing what quality of work they produce. So that's why what I'm saying is, it's all about you. It's all about making more better choices for you. The whole webinar of 2 days, which Professor Ramchandra has put up, is to help you succeed in your careers. So in order to make you that, if you have to make that mark, it's you who has to do much of that running, not your professors. Professors can only show you the way that you need to walk, but the walking you must do. So that's why remember that grades do count. So that's why you always score very high grades. And all IITs, all NITs in India are highly valuable when it comes to ranking. So you must do that. And you must have good writing skills. English, of course, most of Indians speak good English, but also just speaking is not enough, but you need to also have good articulative writing skills. And that's where you publish your work, so that publications do count when it comes to ranking. So university ranking, number 1, your own personal ranking and awards, number 2, and number 3 is, how you position yourself both in terms of writing and speaking. So I know that there are a host of luminaries after me who are going to speak. So I just wanted to be brief. I want to give you 3-4 mantras that you can work upon. Again, I'm reiterating them just before I conclude. So set very high standards and try to achieve them. and strive to understand, not just merely memorizing and then reproducing that content in the exams. And passing exams is just one criteria, but succeeding in career is the most important criteria to me compared to passing an exam. And third is, remember that grades do count. So give a lot of emphasis on grades and getting high grades during your university days, and put a lot of emphasis on English speaking and writing skills. These are the 4 mantras. If you really work on them day and night, I think this morning Dr. Simit Rawal from UNSW was saying sky is the limit. So you can achieve anything that you want to achieve, or at least you have the desire to achieve. So with that, probably I will stop here. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer. And you have my email, and please contact me anytime. But, just I think someone asked, whether you can come for internship. And Dr. Simit Rawal gave a very good answer. So the same answer you can expect from me. It's just not sending an email, but perseverance, persistence. That's very crucial for your success. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Mohan. Thank you very much. Now I request to speak few words, Professor Sripati, our Dean. Before that, is our basically a professor of electronics engineering. If I go into his profile, because except he, all are basically core mining engineers. You may not understand. He is an active researcher, and he is basically PhD from prestigious IISc Bangalore. Produced 7 PhDs and 3 are ongoing. Carried out number of research projects carrying worth of crores of rupees. And he does a lot of consultancy. As a layman language, I understand this currency sorting machines like ATMs. He works a lot on this, and he has prestigious imprint project also. So with this, may I request Professor Sripati to speak a few words? Professor Sripati, sir, you are muted.
Thank you, Professor Karak, for introducing me to this august audience. I thank all of you mining engineers for accepting my presence in this meeting. And I basically, I was listening to Professor Mohan and also earlier speakers. I think there is a great deal of very good work that is being done in Australian universities, and we in NITK Surathkal and other universities in India would like to actively collaborate with our peers in Australia, so that we can have a very vibrant system of student and faculty exchange, and so that we also get to know what is happening in Australia and collaborate very well with our peers in Australia. I'm very glad to say that quite a few of my research scholars, their PhD thesis were examined by professors in Australia, and the quality of review has been excellent, and I was very happy with that association. Now, coming forward, we in NITK Surathkal have realized the importance of international collaboration. We have, we are essentially going forward. We have had a number of meetings at our end. We are trying to formulate policies and frameworks, under which faculty members are actively encouraged to collaborate. And in this context, we would also like to see, or we would also like to examine the prospect of probably entering into twinning arrangements with good universities in Australia. That is something that is definitely on our minds. And I request Professor Karra to actually help us identify and help us to link up with universities in Australia that would like to join with us in the twinning program. Because we feel that the twinning program would be a very good opportunity for our students to get into Australia, PG programs in Australia, and also for possibly a number of students from Australia coming here to do their internships, and possibly in the long run, a few Australian students also coming here to do their undergraduate degrees. We also hope that there will be exchange of research scholars on internship as well as on internship basis, as well as research scholars coming here or research scholars coming there for long-term collaborative arrangements. So all of this is very important in the current perspective when we are trying to actively improve our national ranking. In the Committee of Indian Institutions, we are number 13 as of now, and we actually see ourselves as actively striving to move up and probably occupy a place in the top 10. So from this perspective, therefore, we realize the importance of international collaborations, as also the need for our networking with top researchers in every domain all over the world. Australia is definitely very much on our radar, and we would like to very much collaborate with our scholars in Australia. And I'm sure that with this, there will be a lot of mutual benefit accruing to both NITK Surathkal as well as institutions with whom we collaborate in Australia. So I thank Professor Karra again, for taking this initiative. He has been very active. In fact, we had the first meeting wherein we were trying to design the strategy, and then Professor Karra immediately came up with this webinar involving very senior academicians from Australia. I congratulate Professor Karra Ramchandar for having done this so efficiently and so meaningfully. And I also look forward to assistance of Professor Karra in actually moving forward in this domain in trying to establish strong links with universities in Australia. I thank all of you senior professors for having given us so much insight and so much of your time, so much of your experience as part of the webinar. And I thank all of you for having come here at Professor Karra's invitation and giving so much of positive inputs to students, and also making students aware that Australia is a very good destination for students seeking postgraduate and postgraduate education as well as research careers. Thank you, Professor Karra, and thank you all distinguished speakers who have actually come here and then conducted the webinar so nicely. With these few words, I would like to end my talk.
Thank you, Professor. You may mute. Sir, actually, definitely we are taking initiation. As you know, I had a discussion with you. I had taken the views of the department faculty. I had a discussion with the director also. Soon we are going to sign some MOUs with some foreign universities, sir. In fact, due to time difference, most of the speakers from US I have spoken yesterday evening from 8 to 8:30 up to 8:30 p.m. and that was on live. Till now 1200 students have watched that. That is a very good number for your mining community. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much, sir. Now may I request our today's chief guest, Professor Syed Islam, Dean, Faculty of Engineering from Federation University, Australia. He is already there with us on live. Professor Islam did his master's and PhD degree in electrical power engineering from prestigious King Fahd University of Petroleum and Minerals in Saudi Arabia. Similarly, he is a very active researcher. He has received number of awards and is active member on IEEE. And before joining Federation University, he was Dean of Curtin University, another prestigious university. But if I go into his technical things, again, now being mining engineers, for us, most of us may not understand, but he has published more than 270 technical papers. He has some patents. He has started a new journal under IEEE as a chief editor of this. So he's an active researcher. I came to know many things about Professor Islam from Manoj told me. He's an active collaborator. He brought up many collaborations from international universities, especially from China and other countries for Federation University. So with the vast experience, thank you for joining us online. Professor Islam, I request you to speak around 10 minutes, sir.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Thank you. Good. So first of all, Professor Rao, the director of NIT Karnataka, Professor Ramchandar, the Dean of your Engineering, Professor Sripati, Manoj, and colleagues from many parts of the world who I joined you late but managed to listen to a couple of your talks earlier. So I noticed that some of, particularly Mohan, Professor Mohan from Monash University has already spoken quite a bit on Australia and its higher education landscape, information around the universities, and I think many aspects that the students are interested in when they're trying to find out information how to study at a foreign university. So I won't go there too much. Just probably focus on some of those aspects that is relevant to Federation University. So first of all, this is a very auspicious year for Federation University. It is the 150th year celebration of Federation's program in mining and geology and geoscience area. So this university in 1870, you probably know that around 1850, the gold rush in Ballarat in Victoria started. And that's where perhaps the introduction of mining in Australia. So it was very easy to find gold in Ballarat, I gather. Unfortunately, we were not there at the time. Otherwise, we probably won't be doing this. But interestingly enough, that after I joined Federation University, that is in 2018, September 2018, in 2019, somebody in Ballarat actually found almost $800,000 worth of gold nugget while walking, taking a bushwalk. Would you imagine that? So unfortunately, I was not bushwalking at that time either. But what it is that it actually shows that that mining has a deep root in Australia, and particularly in Victoria and in Ballarat. In 1870, a group of entrepreneurs in mining sat around a round table in Ballarat, and they talked about that, well, soon we won't be finding any gold just looking for them. They have to be underground. And how do we actually know where this underground gold is? So we need some technology. And that started the idea of establishing what is known as the School of Mines Ballarat in 1870. So we're celebrating 150th year of that mining and technological education tradition at Federation University. I understand that Federation is actually, which is the University of Ballarat used to be before, and we changed our name to Federation only 4 or 5 years ago. So we are a new university as Federation, but we have a rich past. We happen to be the second oldest technological institution in the country. So that's a good thing. And Federation has made good progress. We don't have the outstanding ranking like some other universities in Australia, but we are very good in teaching technology and education. And that actually gives us 14 out of 19 areas in Good Universities Guide 5-star ranking. So that's very important if you are particularly looking to study engineering and technology and other disciplines at Federation University. And in research, we are making also now a very good progress, as you probably noticed from Manoj's work and others, and probably other Federation Universities colleagues that you might already know. Look, I have been asked to say a few words about Australian engineering program. So I happen to be a member of the Australian Council of Engineering Deans, and that all the deans sit in that committee. Yesterday, we actually have our meeting, AGM. And Australian engineering programs are Washington Accord accredited, you already know. And this is good and important because that gives you the automatic recognition, any country that has signed Washington Accord. As many, many countries in the world has signed that. I understand that India is now also a signatory of Washington Accord, so which is a good thing. Engineers Australia predicts that there will be 20,000 engineers shortage in 2021 and moving onwards. So it's a good time to study engineering in Australian universities. If particularly you are looking to get some work experience after your education, or perhaps thinking of getting a job and that sort of thing. So there is, and because of COVID-19, we basically have a gap in a full cohort of international students in 2020 and perhaps the beginning of 2021. So what that means is that there's even further opportunities. And then Australia puts a lot of emphasis on women in engineering. And therefore, there is even greater opportunity for female engineers. If there are women in engineers and mining engineering interested, they should take a note of particular note of that. Australia, of course, you know that if you do a study in Australia, it offers post-study work right. And if you study at a regional university, you even get more points if you are interested in then converting it into a residency or so on. So, but probably prospective students should take a note of that. COVID-19 has taken a lot of toll on all the countries, including India, Australia. Every country has put in a lot of money and lost a lot of income, GDP. But, you know, it has been a COVID-safe year in 2020. What is going to happen in 2021 is a COVID recovery effort. And what we understand is that advanced manufacturing, renewable energy-led energy, cheaper energy, digital transformation of processes, mining, resources will play a major role in the COVID-19 recovery in Australia. And it won't be very different in other countries where these resources exist. Skills in IT, engineering, health professional, teachers and education will also be in great demand. So I think I won't go into any other engineering education related details. You have already heard it from some colleagues and from Professor Mohan, you know, about Australian education system and what it entails. I would like to just touch base that the Council of Engineering Deans in Australia now have been instituted what is known as the Engineering 2035 project. So basically the engineering deans, they realize that many jobs that we used to know before won't exist in the next 10 years. And in next 10 years, there will be many jobs that we even can't think of. So the education system in engineering will have to change. And this is why I think the Engineering 2035 project will give us a new dimension of how we teach engineering in this country. So we are waiting for that final report and hopefully after that, the endorsement of that and gradually the schools introducing that change. Scholarship opportunities for higher degree research. Every university in Australia puts a lot of emphasis on research, and so does Federation and other universities that you have heard. Scholarship come in different form. International student scholarship that universities actually put back from mainly international student income, and then offer that to from maybe undergraduate and coursework masters, offer that into research masters and PhD programs. Our university have got number of schemes such as Henry Sutton Scholarship, Destination Australia Awards, and Destination Australia Award is probably available with many universities, so students should take a note of that. This is the Australian government initiative, and this offers scholarships to both undergraduate, postgraduate coursework, and PhD research cohort of students. And then, of course, research projects, they have got embedded scholarship and professors like Manoj or Professor Mohan, they win a research grant, they often have got embedded scholarships in it. And therefore, students can communicate directly with the professors and they have a scholarship. So it's a good way for prospective students to get this communication going. Of course, research grants comes in drips and drops. There's peaks and drops. They come like pulses, but when they come, there's opportunity. And you need to be there at the right time. So keep communicating if there are students listening to this in this call. I would also like to endorse that those who are looking for a scholarship, they should focus on probably publications, even conference publication. That is in India, if you have a local conference, publish in there. It's better to have a conference publication, and that may not be a top level conference, but still that's better than no papers at all. So focus on that, get a good IELTS score, get a good research proposal, and get good referees. These are very important for being highly ranked in competitive processes within the universities. As Professor Ramchandra in the introduction mentioned, our university collaborates strongly with many countries in the world. For example, China with Ministry of Education. We recently opened up a joint institute, and this is electronic engineering and IT. And this institute has taken 200 students now and will be growing up to 800 students in 2 years' time. So we're very, very active in the international domain. We operate. We have got programs at Shaoguan University in China, in Zhejiang University in China, and many other countries that we have got collaboration. Whether it is TNE program, whether it is twinning program, pathway program, credit recognition, study abroad, student exchange, any sorts of program. There are lots of opportunities for student exchange funded by the Australian government as well. There's new Colombo Plan projects, which I think our staff and staff in India can jointly develop that, and Australian students can go and visit your university. And I think that's a good way of internationalization of your curriculum. So you should target that as well. And similar thing can be done in Australia for your students, and that could be facilitated and funded in many different ways. Study abroad, spending a semester at a very reduced fee, and many universities in Australia is a wonderful opportunity. Many universities in Australia has got collaborative doctoral research program. I know that while I was at Curtin, as you mentioned, and Curtin had a very strong mining engineering program too in WA School of Mines, perhaps you know. And we actually developed a collaborative doctoral program in IIT Madras, in IIT Kharagpur, IIT Kanpur. I think these are the three that I was involved, and after that they may have done more. But these are opportunities, and Federation is currently looking at establishing similar thing, and I have a particular interest in that area. So yeah, I guess with that, I know that you are pressed for time, so I will stop there. And thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to talk, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Professor Islam. You have given a brief history and every aspect of your university. Sure, we'll work together in future. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, I request our Director, Professor Uma Maheshwar Rao, to give his presidential remarks. In fact, except Professor Islam, everyone in the online or on YouTube, everyone knows you, sir. So I am not going in again reading of your biodata. One added advantage is Professor Rao as a professor of mining engineer, basically it is an added advantage for in this platform. So yesterday after your presidential remarks, many are calling me and texted me very good remarks. So people are more interested to listen to you, sir. So I am not going for again introduction of you at this point. May I request Professor Rao to speak, sir?
Yeah, thank you. I hope I'm audible and visible
yes.
as well. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Professor Karra. And let me just give a summary of what all has happened since yesterday. And I'm really glad to realize that around 1,200 students have really been watching since yesterday. And yesterday's it was all about the prospects of the research areas and the new areas which are unfolding in the years to come. And then I'll just take some leads from what Professor Mohan has said today and how Professor Syed Islam has concluded just now, the Dean of Federation University. And there is a clear call and a loud call for the students what exactly they have got to really look at. And then first thing is that it is when the going is tough, it's a very old proverb. When the going gets tough, only the toughest gets going. And we have got to really mean that once. COVID has given us an opportunity to realize what we are, what is our strength. Having said that one, and then what I mean is that Professor Mohan was stating that you have got to sit in the driver's seat. Here, I may really take the example of cricket, which is really very known to all the students and then of all the generations. Like there are 12 players, and then of that, everybody is not an opener, everybody is not an opening bowler, everybody is not a wicket keeper, everybody is not a specialized contributor to the game of cricket. So now, unless you are standing in the crease of 22 yards and then trying to face the ball which is coming, if it is a pace bowler which is coming at 140 kilometers or 150 kilometers, and then somebody sitting in the gallery, your parents or your mentors, and then saying that we have got to flick the ball off the boundary, that is never going to work out. Because you have taken the guard, and then unless you start watching the ball from the time it is released from the bowler, and then trying to gauge where exactly it is going to bounce and then how it is going to rise onto you, and then you just cannot. It is in a split second that you have got to really look at, judge, and act. Act in such a way that either you are hitting the ball off the fence or you are hitting the ball into the hands of the player. right? So now, unless you take the responsibility of how you want to play the game and then where you want to really stand tomorrow, I don't think any mentor will be able to tell you that what you have got to really do it. So now, the 2035, which Professor Syed Islam has stated, that the requirement and then the expectations of a student is going to be way different from what we have really learned as a student. Okay, so now you are a millennial generation and you are already aware of a lot of information. It is not the information that you are really looking at in a university, right? And then it is how you are translating that information which you got already in the Google format, or through the classes, or through the teachers. And then, as I always say, that teachers remain as a facilitators. I may here agree to disagree with the Professor Mohan, stating that teachers will show you the path where you have got to. I don't think today's generation student even know it requires which is the direction which they have got to really take their career to, right? So now, unless you really own, unless you engineer your success, I mean and emphasize that you have got to engineer your own success. And to engineer your own success, you have got to know what exactly are your talents and your strengths, and more than your talent and then strength, and what exactly is the skill that you have acquired, and how much is the creative ideas that you have. The only input every individual has is the ability to think differently. That is the beauty of human beings, right? No two human beings think alike, right? Unless you start working on developing your skills and then thinking creatively, right? No amount of advice or mentoring is not going to take you to any better position in the years to come. Gone are the days of yesterday. Yesterday, it was all a different situation, and then today and tomorrow, and then by 2035, things are going to be way different from the place where you are standing. Right. Another thing is that one of the professors was telling about your communication skills. Communication skills, I would really try to place it as a soft skills, which I was even telling yesterday also, that unless you really sharpen the communication skills or the softer skills and then IT skills, right? I think these are all the certain challenges which every student has to realize before embarking for higher education. Please do not depend on a mentor, right? And then under the shadow of the mentor that you want to really move ahead, right? I think that idea should be kept aside, shun that particular idea, and then take the responsibility of yourself. Once you take the responsibility, the beauty of taking the responsibility is that you try to understand yourself. And then once you understand yourself, what happens is that which is the path which gives you success is what is very, very clear before your eyes. It's like watching the ball released from the bowler, and you know the trajectory of that one. And then once you know the trajectory of that one, you can very well gauge with a 90% the certainty that it is going to bounce, or should you go front foot, or you should go back foot, or should you really hit off the fence. All these things you will be able to really understand in a split second time, and then your decision will definitely be a successful decision. Okay. Now, lastly, everything is not on the students' shoulders itself, right? I don't want to really burden the students altogether, right? And then Professor Mohan has rightly stated that you have got to have a good CGPA. Good CGPA, it is your own effort, a student's effort, right? You should have, Professor Syed Islam has stated that you should have, apart from the CGPA, and then you should have a good testimony, recommendation from your teachers. So now that is the teacher you are looking at. And Professor Mohan was stating about that your university from where you are applying and to the university where you are applying, right, should be ranked. And then the ranking is one thing which is very, very important. And today, NIRF is another ranking federation which India has started, and then with a lot of effort, and then our faculty members have really put day in and day out all efforts to raise the rank from 22 to 13. And then I wish there is a lot of importance given to that one. And then one thing which every single teacher of every single department has to realize is that tomorrow's ranking system is going to be different from today's ranking system. Like Professor Mohan has stated that mining is at around double digit in the last year, and I think this year it is at 7. So now the future is that departmental ranking is also very, very, very important, in quotes underline. When we mean that, when we say that, it is the contribution or the responsibility or the owning of the department by the faculty members and leading the department in the forefront. So now here, I think these 2 days of our webinar, which has become really very, very successful, and then I should congratulate Professor Karra. I think it is really a fruitful, one of the most the successful seminars which I have ever attended. The reason is that large cross-section of the students have really watched this one. Number one, we have identified the areas of research, the tomorrow's areas of research, where all the digital technologies are going to be in mining, and then artificial intelligence, big data analysis, and then analytics, whatnot, all this, everything and all about that one yesterday we have seen. And then today the conclusion is about where do you stand, and then where do you really want to take your career to. I think this is most successful, and then I think, right, I once again, before leaving, congratulate Professor Karra and Professor Kandelwal for making this conference a grand success. Thank you very much. Wish you all the very best. And should you require any information regarding anything, you just have to feel free to contact either the faculty members of mining department. Mining at NIT Surathkal is also really very good, and the faculty members are Engg, energetic, and they have a vision, they have the desire. The desire is burning in their bellies, and then so they are working day in and day out, and which is visible from what Professor Karra is really trying to do. And then right, even if you want to pursue your higher education in NITK for your masters or your PhD, right, you are most welcome to this institution. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, sir. We are in time. I think we are close in 2 minutes. Organizing such a large webinar requires the support from everyone. Special thanks to all the 12 speakers and guests. Many have joined from industry, academics, and well-wishers. I thank everyone. And actually, in the beginning, I was not knowing there will be this much response. We had to stream on live, which is I was an illiterate, a team of Mr. Dr. Srikanth, Mr. Mohit, Mr. Sugan, our staff. They helped me a lot, and they're sitting last night also with me, even now with me. And some students like Mahendra Patel and all helped me in organizing this. Thanks to Dr. Manoj from Australia. I thank everyone. And as a head of the department, I assure the students of not only NITK Surathkal, from all departments, you tell us what is your requirement within the rule framework. With the permission of my director, we are always ready to help you. Last March also we had a national convention. I am always for the students. I am not so big to help big people or professionals or academicians. But at my level, I am always ready for students of any university. Your encouragement will make us to organize such events in future. Sure, we will plan it. A big thanks to our director, Professor K.U.M. Rao, who has been in constant touch. Yesterday, full event, he was there for morning. A little bit, he had to go out. He was not available. I think he was there, and he was watching on YouTube also in between. Thank you very much, sir, for your support. He has been following up with me, texting what is happening, and you need any help. Thank you very much. And like Mohan, Professor Jayantu, Dr. Venkatesh, my teacher, Professor S.K. Sharma, yesterday Professor Krishna Reddy, to name a few, everyone helped. No one said no to me. And a big thanks to internet. This has not disturbed everyone. And there was not a 1 minute discontinuity in the live program. I thank every one of you. If I missed to name anyone, it is not easy to name anyone. And sure, we'll have some more activities. And we are going to have so many new programs for industry, for new generation. In couple of years, the NITK Surathkal, Professor Jayantu may not agree with me, is a counterpart for us. NITK Surathkal must be #1 destination, #1 choice for mining engineering in the country. I may be selfish in this. That is our objective as a department, as NIT Surathkal, under the guidance of Professor Uma Maheshwar Rao. So I'm sure it takes a few years, but we have started the initiation. We will move in this. I seek the help, blessings, because many speakers are much elders to me in age-wise also. We need blessings of all of you. With every one of your help, I'm sure we will achieve this. I request your blessing, help, and everything. Thanks to everyone who associated with. Big thanks to students who are the main beneficiaries. Unless you come and participate, there is no use whatever things we organize. Thank you one and all. Exactly 12:30, but still it is not closing on its own, so we may close the event. If any last word, maybe one thanks from Professor Uma Maheshwar Rao also, our director. Yes, we are closing this online live because Dr. Mohan and myself have to attend another meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ramchandra.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manoj. Seeing you after a lot of time.
Thanks to all.
Thank you, Jayantu. Listened to you after a long time.
Yes, after a long time.
Yes.
So COVID-19.
Venkatesh, if is there, I want to take this opportunity. Thank you very much for a good lecture.
Advance Dasara wishes also. And take care of COVID-19 to celebrate Dasara in a big scale. And we have a transdisciplinary translational research group. Now Ramchandra and Kandelwal is there as our forerunner.
Sure.
Generation.
Thank you very much.
Leaving
now.
Sure, sir. We'll log out. I'm closing.